downfield. Play would be declined, 4th down.
So a quick 3-and-out for this Parkview Panther defense. It's allowing just a little over 19 points per game. Statement opening drive for the defense, and they're going to get the ball right back.
I feel like that ball was just a little bit behind Anthony Carter right there, trying to hit him on a quick little slant, little inward breaking route right there. Unable to connect with his man was Miller. And like you said, that'll bring on the punt unit. And they've got a leg back there. Eric Calvillo can really get after it.
Calvillo does the punting and the kicking for the Comets. 4th and 7, return man at that big Panther paw near midfield as that one is booted high up into the sky, and it's going to be returnable as he takes it into Comet territory, and he gets a block, cutting forward, still on his feet, and finally being dragged down as the ball comes out. There's a scramble for the football as it is still bouncing around. Looks like it was recovered by Parkview, but what a return that was.
Yes, the junior Bryce Colson. I'm sitting there thinking like, hey, look, maybe expected Mike Matthews to be back there returning kicks. If you're returning kicks for Parkview, you're an athlete, and you are a threat with the ball in your hands. Bryce Colson doing a great job right there of finding the seam that was available down the sideline and sticking his foot in the gas and getting down and setting this Parkview up in first and goal situation, ball on the 5. It's a nice way to start your first possession of the game.
Absolutely, no kidding, as Colin Hawk and company are going to come out to the field. Hawk
I think you're going to see a heavy dose of 7 right here.
That's Kyer Spain, and we talk about sometimes teams rotating back. Spain has been the lead back thus far for the Panthers, and the first snap, they're going to give it off to Spain, who churns his way forward to the goal line, and he's in. It's one play, one score, 6-0, Panthers on top.
Eric, Kyer Spain's got a really interesting story. He was actually the starting Mike linebacker, had 120 tackles last year for this Parkview football team. Hadn't really played running back since his Pop Warner football days. Their starting running back, not to be named, transfers to Tucker this offseason, and suddenly they walk into Kyer and say, hey, we need you to come play running back. You look up now, he's almost got 900 yards on the season. That'll put him at 895 yards on the season through 5 games.
Extra point to come, and that one is up and good, as that'll make it 7-0. Also 5th touchdown on the season for Spain. You mentioned linebacker. He's short, 5'9", but 195 pounds. He's hard to bring down, especially in those goal-to-goal situations.
And they'll do a bunch of stuff with him. They'll get him in Wildcat. They'll do a lot of things and unique ways to get him the football. Look, this is a program in Parkview that has historically had a bell cow back, right? You go back a couple of years ago, and I'm blanking on Cody's last name, but they had a running back here that's now down at the University of Miami that would tote the ball 30, 35 times a game. So this is a football program that is known to feed a primary back.
Also had a running back make the NFL, Chris Carson, who actually just retired a few months ago. Played over at Oklahoma State in college and also for the Seattle Seahawks. One of 8 Parkview players to go on to the NFL. And I spotted a Chris Carson Parkview jersey earlier on, just browsing around the bleachers. But 4 plays from scrimmage between these two.
It was going to bother me the whole night. Cody Brown.
And with 10:26 remaining here in the first quarter, we'll kick off again. For those that just joined us, 7-0 here. It was a 3-and-out for South Gwinnett. Parkview with a nice return up to the 5-yard line. They punch it in for a score. If you're South Gwinnett, how do you respond right here?
Well, I was about to say, Eric, you watched it and you called the game last week, but I felt like that was something that crushed them last week against Norcross. The loss of the phases of special teams last week in that football game really were crucial to them. They gave up almost 200 yards of return yardage in that football game alone, so sacrificed a lot of field position last week. And then not being able to finish in the red zone, I felt like was an issue of South Gwinnett's as well. They moved the football really well last week. They outgained Norcross, only to come out down 27 points in that football game. It's not something you expect to see in high school football.
Zion Taylor with a kickoff return touchdown in that game, and a few other big returns as well. First play, it's going to be play action for Miller. Miller going deep. He wants it all, and it's just out of the reach right there, looking for Pierre Ford streaking downfield.
Look, this isn't an offense that takes a lot of those, okay, a lot of deep shots. Their biggest and most explosive play this year was actually coming via a double pass. All right, this isn't a football team that hits a lot of backside posts like they were trying to right there. That was a shot that they were dialing up all week. They had it, just couldn't quite connect.
They'll reset on 2nd and 10, still in the shotgun. Pierre Ford with 7 catches, 138 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the season. Miller back to pass again. Now he'll take it himself, weaving his way up and getting taken down near the 25-26 yard line. And it'll set up 3rd and about 4.
Look like a design quarterback draw right there. I don't hate it. I think Nate Miller is a quality rushing threat for this South Gwinnett football team, if for no other reason than it keeps the other people in the box honest.
He is tied for the team lead with 3 rushing touchdowns, 252 rushing yards coming into the game. That's good for 3rd in that department.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to face a 3rd and 11 now after the false start. Just a young quarterback, or I shouldn't say a young quarterback, a quarterback failing to let all of his guys get set right there as they get called for the procedural penalty.
So they'll put them at about 3rd and 9. And if you're the coach here for South Gwinnett, does that change your play call at all?
100%. Like it removes all doubt of run play, right? If you're Parkview, you can 100% play the pass. If you're edge rushers like number 10 right here, Ira Singleton, or number 22 up on the top side, Nolan Marshall, you can pin your ears back and get after it.
Aptly in the backfield as Miller drops back, and that one is going to be caught, but not much doing. Gain of maybe 2 or 3, and once again, it's 4th down.
That's a tremendous play by Jaden Crawford. That play is designed to beat man coverage. They're just trying to run Ike Anude across on a simple drag route. But if Jaden Crawford's on his back hip, it's shut down immediately. Great job getting the ball carried down on the ground as soon as possible to force yet another 4th down. 2 consecutive 3-and-outs right there for South Gwinnett. Not an ideal start.
Anude, one of those two-way players. He plays wide receiver and cornerback. He also leads the team with 3 interceptions, 2 of them in the game versus Decatur.
He's a ball player, man. Uh-oh.
And that punt looked like it might have been muffed. Hang on a sec.
I don't know if it touched him. I didn't see the referee throw the beanbag.
Well, there's a scramble for the football. Of course, you always want to treat every ball like a live ball. We'll see what they rule right here, but good call on no beanbag. Of course, that blue beanbag signifying a change of possession. I guess in the pros it's blue, but I could not tell you in high school if it's blue or black.
I always thought it was black. Yeah, I didn't see the nearest referee to us, the nearest zebra to us. I didn't see him drop a beanbag. And for those of you at home, that means he's indicating he has signaled a muffed punt off the live call. If you don't see the ref throw the beanbag, he is not initiating a fumble or a loose ball.
So the Parkview Panthers will take back over on offense. They're up 7-0, 8:12 remaining here in the first quarter of play, and they're going to look to tack on some more points after 2 straight 3-and-outs.
I'd be looking for Mike Matthews early on this possession. They don't take too long to try to get Matthews an explosive, especially this Parkview offense as they get an encroachment penalty. This Parkview offense didn't get their initial possession, right? You don't start normally your openers, your initial script as an offensive coordinator from the 5. You don't project or predict you'll get that football there. So we're really going to get to see what the offensive coordinating staff from Parkview kind of visualize their team having success with tonight on this opening script.
1st and 5 after the penalty, and they'll give it off up the middle. There's the lead back again as he takes it. Spain. And he'll get close to the 1st down marker.
It'll also be interesting to see tonight, Eric. Parkview is without what I believe is one of the better interior offensive line prospects in all of America, Cortez Smith, the sophomore, what is a center, been playing guard here tonight, or this season for Parkview. He's out with a shoulder injury, so he's not going to be playing tonight. They're a man down on the interior of this offensive line. Something to note when you're playing an odd stack football team.
Especially with a big force like A.J. Pigford up there, and we can talk about him in a moment because he is another one of those ball players. It'll be a jet sweep toss right there as it's going
to be unfortunate. Pickford going to be out for the year. He got hurt last week. So, unfortunately, they're down their best player defensively tonight. A.J. Pickford had 9.5 sacks through 4 games to start the football season. And unfortunately, he'll be out for about 7 or 8 months.
That was Carson Wilson who took it on the jet sweep. Gain of about 5.
A football player that's really bursting onto the scene, it was Pickford. It's an unfortunate injury for the young man.
2nd down, Hawk will take the snap. Handoff up the middle again. There's a change of pace back right there as they switch it up.
It's Donovan Paris in there on the carry. Like you said, change of pace back. I don't even know if it's a change of pace or just a breather. Hey, let's get Kyer a blow right quick while we can.
That'll give him a new set of chains. 3 plays, 3 runs on this drive for the Panthers. Looked like maybe tried to go hard count right there, and now Hawk will turn over to the sideline, get further instruction. Paris remains in the backfield. 3 receivers to the left. And Hawk will hand it off again. Another run for the Panthers. Every single play from scrimmage thus far, a run for Parkview.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm seeing South Gwinnett play a bunch of cover zero, meaning they're leaving their defensive backs one-on-one by themselves with Mike Matthews, something that not a lot of high school football teams are willing to do. So I know Parkview is a run-heavy football team, but watch out for 4. Eventually, they will take a deep shot.
Matthews in the slot here on 2nd down. Hawk will take the snap, drop back for the first time tonight, and looking for the aforementioned Matthews. That one just couldn't quite time it up. Falls incomplete for 3rd down.
Yeah, at that time, actually, South Gwinnett did what we call under and over, right? They played a linebacker underneath Mike Matthews and then played a safety over the top of him. If you're Colin Hawk, if you see that, we got a little hitch route from Mike. We probably don't need to hit him. We probably need to go away from the guy that's drawing double coverage. But I get it. We try to get a ball carrier or a playmaker the ball in his hands early in a football game.
Matthews, you mentioned one of the top players in the country. And 3rd down, here comes some pressure. Hawk rolling out on the run, firing. And that one's going to fall into the turf near the 20-yard line for 4th down. Some pressure there from South Gwinnett as they force a big 3rd down stop. And they're going to get the ball back, most likely, although the offense at the moment still out on the field.
I'd be very, very careful if I were South Gwinnett right here. Parkview's offense has not shown any signs or indications of going off of the field, and South Gwinnett's got the punt unit on right now. South Gwinnett might have to burn a timeout.
You can see players scrambling to get off the field.
There's only 6 guys on the field. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was troublesome. You cannot make that decision as a coaching staff until the offense has made a decision on what they're going to do, right? I think a little preemptive judgment right there from the South Gwinnett's coaching staff, running that punt return unit on. I get it, it's 4th and 8, middle of the field, but it's also high school football in the sense that this is no man's territory. We talk about it every week. No field goal kicker in high school football is making that one, and most punt teams aren't really going to pin them deep. They're not really that great at what we call coffin cornering, so very much so that no man's land.
So it'll be 4th down at about 8, 6:19 remaining. Call that the first timeout burned by South Gwinnett, and I have to assume 3 timeouts per half for these teams, correct?
Yeah, can't take them with you.
Absolutely.
Can't take them with you. Always, I mean, I live by this motto. If we can save a bad play, right, if we can save a rectifyingly terrible play, we don't mind burning a timeout. That's any portion of the football game. Timeouts are valuable, but so are points off the board.
Yeah.
Same situation here, but luckily for South Gwinnett, Ike Anude is actually one of their primary defensive backs as well. I think they're projecting or maybe predicting that Parkview does a quarterback punt here with Colin Hawk.
We'll see if that's the case. Hawk is in. Well,
yeah, you're going to see him drop back into what is a 7 or 8 yard shotgun. This is a quarterback punt. Bad snap, though.
High snap. Hawk able to catch it and just boot it away as the rush came charging in. That is going to take a Panther bounce as it rolls down near the 16, 17-yard line. And there's that baseball skill right there. Yeah, Colin Hawk, middle infielder. You had to snag a bad hop right there.
I was about to say, yeah, it's a good response time and a good athletic move to catch that football with one hand and have the wherewithal to get the ball off before it is ultimately blocked. You are right, though. Colin Hawk, one of the higher-rated dual sport athletes in America. Not new to Gwinnett County. We called a game earlier in the year with Brookwood High School where Dylan Lonergan, very similar situation, Power 5 football recruit, and a major baseball prospect as well.
Hawk committed to go to Mississippi State for baseball. He does also have some Power 5 football offers on the table. It'll be 1st and 10 now for the Comets as they hand it off up the middle. 1 yard in a cloud of dust. Sets up 2nd and 9.
Parkview has came out in this football game, Eric, in what we call a bear defense. They have put a nose on the center, a defensive lineman on both guards, and they have walked edge rushers up off the edge as well on a lot of these downs, okay? What they are telling South Gwinnett is we are committed to stopping your run attack today, and we don't care if we have to play cover zero behind it. No safety in the middle of the field right now, Eric.
Billingsley the back as that pass is going to be tipped at the line. Nice defensive play right there, getting in and making an Antonio White, and it brings up third down.
Yeah, the junior defensive back is all over the field for this Parkview team. They'll play him as a center field safety. They'll play him in the box like you just saw right there. He is a playmaker by nature.
And for the Comet offense, they're in familiar territory here, third and long. Looks to be Billingsley, the back in the backfield to the right of Miller. 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right here. 3rd and 9. Miller dropping back. He's got time as he fires that one over the top and just out of reach right there. He was searching for his man, Elijah McDowell, and it brings up 4th down.
Yeah, I thought he had him on the corner route right there, and it just outside of his reach, man. They're just off right now to start this football game. And it's uncommon, right? You're not used to facing 3rd and 9s for the South Gwinnett football team. They've had such rush success this year, averaging just under 6 yards per carry on the ground, but they can't seem to get anything going right now.
Already the 3rd punt here for the Comets, and it's going to be potentially great starting field position yet again for the Panthers as well. That punt going to be bouncing short of midfield and taking a Panther bounce, being touched down at about the 39-yard line.
Eric, I can tell you right now what the defensive coordinators from both of these football teams told their units this week. We have got to make them one-dimensional. We have got to be able to stand in there and stop the run and make them throw the football. Both of these football teams, like we told you, they're 65% run. If you can make them come out here and rush the football inefficiently and do something that they're not comfortable doing, which is win the game through the air, we're going to have ourselves a rock fight all night if both of these defenses can hold up in the run like they have so far to start this football game.
Kyer Spain, the lead back, leading the team in carries, already got 103 of them on the season through 5 games, averaging a little more than 20 totes a game. 1st and 10 for Hawk and company. And Hawk will fake the handoff, and that one in and out of the hands right there, looking for Matthews again.
Yeah, very similar route, just a little, I mean, you can call it a now route, you can call it a hitch, you can call it whatever you want. Run up the field 3 or 4 yards, turn around, look at your quarterback, let's try to get you the rock. Just unable to connect right there. Have we had a completion yet?
I don't believe so.
On either side of the football, I don't think we have.
Hawk has looked for Matthews twice and has not been able to hook up. A few passes incomplete for South Gwinnett as well. As a matter of fact, for Parkview, that the 3rd pass attempt of the game. 5 for South Gwinnett. 2nd and 10. Hawk hands it off. Here's Spain again, making the first man miss. Spain still on his feet as he brings it up to about the 35-yard line.
It's a great effort run right there by Kyer Spain. Not a lot to work with. He was hitting the backfield by number 59, I believe it was, right there. Zion Dunn from South Gwinnett, the nose tackle.
And Dunn, one of the top players on this defense. 3 sacks on the season, 2 versus Decatur a few weeks ago. And another multi-sport athlete. He also plays baseball. Good season for the senior defensive tackle. 3rd and 6. And they'll give it to Spain again. Spain has a lane, and he will pick up the first powerful piece of running up to the 25.
Yeah, they captured that edge. That left tackle over there doing a good job of getting to the top side. Jordan Floyd, the left tackle, big number 75, doing a great job getting to that upfield shoulder of the defensive end and allowing Kyer Spain to bounce around the edge and finish with a physical run, running behind his pads. I love to see that. I mean, obviously he's a short-statured back, but you best believe he's going to be running with some what we call that forward momentum, Eric.
New set of chains here as they approach the red zone, and they'll hand it off to Paris to spell Spain. Ball rolling out there, but I believe he was down. Paris and Spain, a European-influenced backfield there, if you will, as that'll bring it up to about 2nd and 4.
All right, we got Jaden Bradford into the game right now for Parkview, okay? Or excuse me, Jalen Crawford in the game for Parkview right now, and Antonio White in the game for Parkview right now on 2nd and 4. 2 of their better defensive players now in on offense, okay? Just something to note.
2nd and 4, and they'll hand it off. Here's Paris again. Paris, some nice hard running, and he gets close to that first down marker. We'll see on the spot, but he looks to be maybe a yard or so short.
I think Parkview likes the surface they're getting right now against this odd stack. They're running a lot of counter and power, trying to get an offensive lineman pulled outside as a lead blocker on that space defender, doing a great job on this drive of feeding the play that works. Not necessarily the player that works, but the play. And right now it's power and counter for this Parkview offense.
4 straight runs here for the Panthers as we approach the 3-minute mark in the first quarter. It's third and very short, and there it is again indeed. As Spain works his way up past the 10-yard line, it's going to be 1st and goal for Parkview.
Hey, it's hard to see it, but you can see it kind of on your picture right now. South Gwinnett lining up with that true 3 down front, right? So if we could just get a good down block on that front side defensive end and we could pull a guard, Parkview's loving their surface right now, loving that power play, going right back to it.
Drive that started in South Gwinnett territory. Already 6 plays on the drive. Parkview seemingly body blow after body blow here as they now are knocking on the door of 6 more. Hand off, there's Spain again. Going to be met by a scrum as he takes it forward. Gain of a few, and it brings up 2nd down.
Yeah, load that box up if you're South Gwinnett. You have to trust your corners and your defensive backs right now to live out on an island. You have to be comfortable, willing to die through the air right now from Parkview, but you got to be committed to stopping the run.
2nd and goal from about the 6. And Hawk will play fake, looking for the end zone. Oh, my goodness, what a catch, but he's going to be out of bounds.
And that's what it is, right? You have to be able to live with fighting off the smash concept. That's all Parkview did right there. Ran a hitch with number 1 and then took Mike Matthews on the corner route, unable to connect there between Colin Hawk and Mike Matthews. But you are correct. It would have been an incredible catch. Matthews, known for his playmaking ability, but the thing I look at when I watch him is his body control. He just always is in the right spot. He's never overextended at all.
3rd and goal now. This will be play number 9 on the drive. We'll see if they look Matthews' way again as they're going to hand it off up the middle. There's Spain fighting forward. Still being pushed, the pile being pushed back and forth. The game of tug of war.
Eric,
it's going to bring 4th and goal.
That's a we're going for it on 4th down play call right there. I would imagine if you're willing to run the football 3rd and goal at the 5, I would imagine you're probably going for it on 4th down right here. They're going to take the quarterback to the sideline and get a nice long look at it. Actually, they're going to go into Wildcat right now. That's what they're doing.
Well, there you go. You alluded to it earlier. Spain likely to line up in the Wildcat. We can also see Zach Hill line
if you're
up.
South Gwinnett, engage 8, brother. Bring everybody. Everybody you got right now. They are running the football.
The Wildcat or the Wild Panther as Spain is going to try and take it up the middle. We'll see about the spot.
The second effort might have got it, but I think he's short. What
South Gwinnett celebrating like it's short, and what a goal line stand that would be. Oh, man. Talk about a momentum changer.
Every single time I get an opportunity to call a game and we have a situation like this where you're an offensive unit, as in South Gwinnett, coming out, right? You're coming out right now of your own end, ball inside the 1. Eric, you get to the line of scrimmage and you run what we call the good old freeze play. You go up to the line of scrimmage, you say, down, say, hut. Trying to get a free 5 yards, because guess what? If you false start right now as an offense, it's half the distance to the goal. You ain't losing much. You know what I mean? So no risk right here. Give a nice hard count. Try to get 5 yards for free right here from this Parkview defense.
Almost like playing with house money as they are in the shadow of their own goalpost. And now looks like we're going to have the first time out of the game for Parkview. So 1:05 left here in the first quarter. Both teams burning a timeout in the first quarter. Huge goal line stand for South Gwinnett. And now they have practically the entirety of the field to go if they want to reach pay dirt. 7-0 your score here in the first.
Whew. It's a relatively quick first half. I think it's going to be a relatively quick football game with how much these two teams run the ball and how, efficient these defenses have been so far. They're doing a great job of getting guys to the ground. Not a lot of missed tackles tonight either so far through a quarter.
So, Brooks, I got a question for you here. If you're this Parkview defense, how much are you selling out to try and get a tackle in the backfield for a safety, or is that not something you're super concerned about at this point?
So, South Gwinnett doesn't strike me as a football team that's going to, really attack you through the air right now in a situation like this. Heck, last time we saw them, they came out in, double tight ends and I formation. So you play for the run, yes, right now. But in terms of, hey, do we overextend to try to get a safety? Probably. Young football players are going to be doing that for sure. They're going quarterback sneak, though.
And they do go quarterback sneak as the big Nate Miller will take it up the middle and just try and get some semblance of breathing room.
To me, that's another simple one, Eric. I mean, as a defensive lineman, if you look up and you see the quarterback has two running backs at his left and his right hip standing right behind him, they're probably running quarterback sneak.
That got him a few yards. It'll make the task a little bit easier. You have to imagine the primary goal for South Gwinnett might be just get a first down, get some more space, no?
They're in shotgun now. Yeah, they a quarterback lead. Yep.
And that's exactly what it is. Right on as always, as Miller's going to take it forward, get a few more, and set up third and not too bad.
You want to know what gave it away? Running back alignment. Running back was in front of the quarterback.
There you go.
He's not going to be behind him and get the ball, right?
And we talked about that a few weeks ago at Buford, yes.
Running back depth will tell you a lot about what an offense is doing for sure. Now he's behind him. See, they might be handing it off here. Oh, almost got him.
Jumped.
They did give it to him. They're going to give him encroachment.
So how about that? We talked about it before the drive, trying to maybe get a free 5 yards. They get the jump, that one on third down, and that's going to get him a first down. I got to say, that is why Alex calls you one of the best in the biz right there. You seemingly pointing things out and you speak things into existence.
Football is not hard, man. It's really not. It's not, at least for me. It's one of the only things that ever came easy.
So a fresh set of chains here. That's going to do it for the first quarter. 7-0 your score. Parkview up on top at home. Their first home game of the season, and they're bringing in the sawdust turf in style. 7-0 here as we switch over to the second quarter. Fresh set of chains here for South Gwinnett. How does your approach on this drive change now that you've got 3 more downs to play with and a little bit more space?
So at some point, I think you have an opportunity to take a shot. We saw Nate Miller not be able to quite connect with his guy. The only opportunity, the only shot they've taken so far. I think if you feel comfortable here on first down, hey, maybe get us in a big 6-man, 7-man protection scheme. Let Elijah McDowell maybe work downfield just a little bit. I am confident that Nate Miller is a good thrower of the football. I don't believe that this is a stagnant offense that can only do one thing or the other. I think they can play a nice balanced attack, but you've got to be willing to take your chances and take your shots, even when you're backed up inside your own 20, right? I know it's risky to say, hey, let's try to protect right here, backed up in our own end, but it's also a little bit risky to say, hey, we're just going to run the ball 3 downs in a row.
Mentioned the loss of A.J. Pigford, their tight end. They do have a great trio of wide receivers, though, in Anthony Carter, Elijah McDowell, and Pierre Ford. And they're spreading the field out here on first down, and
it's a bad read.
Looks like Miller's going to keep it again as he takes it up the middle.
Yeah,
for a yard or
this is
two.
A bad read. Look, when you're running jet sweep read option, it's midline option, if you will, okay? You got that jet sweep read. You're reading that front side defensive end. If his shoulders are square, we got to hand that ball off. We got to go. He's looking at you.
So it'll bring up second down and 10 for South Gwinnett on this drive. 3 straight runs thus far. They've got 2 receivers to the right and 2 to the left for Miller. Second play here of the second quarter. Miller's going to drop back to pass a quick fire out. That one is going to be caught and being brought down as that is McDowell. So the first pass attempt of the drive, a completion. Get a decent gain and set up third and about 6.
Great job rallying to the football right there by Parkview's defense.
So thus far in the game, the Comets not been able to convert on third down, save for the penalty. This is their first drive that's not a 3 and out. How do you think that they'll try and attack this Panther defense right here, move the chains? 3rd and 5, honestly, I wouldn't take quarterback draw out of the equation here, anything along those lines. I also like the option they have right here in the slot down to the bottom of your screen. Talking to the running back indicates probably pass protection, I would imagine. Nope. Yep. And it was a play fake, but quick and in a hurry is the Panther defense. A few of them getting home for the snack. Looks like Singleton was one of them, as that's going to bring up 4th down. It looked like to me they were trying to set up a screen to Ike Nude at the top of your screen. I saw 2 offensive linemen kind of release out, just weren't able to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. Action just took a little bit too long for my taste, Eric, especially when we know, hey, we're releasing guys. We're not protecting. We're releasing guys out for the screen. We can't be back there motioning a bunch of guys doing a bunch of action with the ball. We need to get out and back. We need to get away from the rush that's impending. And that rush impending was the first sack of the game for either team. So more impending rush. That punt nearly blocked, but it's going to take a nice comet bounce, rolling all the way down near the 35, being stopped at about the 38. So that's going to turn the ball over here. 7-0, the Panthers with the lead and the ball, their first possession of the second quarter. And we've seen a lot of bounces go either way thus far on this new turf field, and that one probably the biggest bounce thus far.
It's got an interesting feel to it. It doesn't feel like normal turf. It's not like it's almost like it's almost spongy.
Spongy, interesting.
Yeah, almost spongy.
It does look a little different from...
Now that I've said something to you, it looks different,
Of
doesn't it?
Of course. But I will say, normally you think of turf, you think of almost like a rug, as some people describe it, but almost looks more like turf that you might see at a professional field, at least from my experience. Of course, back home in North Dakota, only a small handful of schools have turf. First play is going to be a run up the middle, and minimal gain there. In fact, it looks like they might get him behind the line of scrimmage based off the spot.
That was the Mike linebacker, Caleb Collins, on the tackle. You'll see a lot of, it might have been Tymeer Burton, number 1. You'll see a lot of free rushers against odd stack teams like this. Some offensive line is really, really tough, man, to pick up where you're going, especially if they're going to be slanting or twisting or stunting like most odd stack teams do.
Panthers have been leaning on the run game thus far. It's Spain back in the backfield here on 2nd and 10.
Little chess match going on here between Parkview's OC and South Gwinnett's DC on the check with me. Looks like South Gwinnett's bringing pressure off the edge.
We'll get the ball out quickly as that one finds the hands of Zach Hill, who is the 3rd leading receiver on the team.
It's a good job by Hawk of identifying where the pressure's coming from and throwing into the pressure, right? He was getting blitz off the edge from Tymeer Burton to his left. So he says, hey, if you're going to blitz that hook defender, well, I'm just going to throw the hook to where you're bringing the blitz from.
That'll bring up 3rd down and 3, and that chess match will be something to watch throughout the rest of the game. 1 sack thus far between these two teams. You have to imagine that the Comets will be trying to get their first of the game. Hawk back to pass. Another quick release and caught on the run. There's that man, Matthews. That's enough for a first down and a little bit more.
That's one of their go-tos. Line Mike Matthews up in the slot, take the 2 primary receivers and run them off and let Mike work to space. Colin Hawk and Matthews have worked that speed out route from the inside slot position 1,000 times. Tremendous runnable ball. Okay, throwing it out in front of your receiver, allowing him to catch and run and picking up the first down afterwards.
3rd time's a charm for those two, as the first 2 passes towards Matthews falling incomplete, but that one, a nice one to move the chains. Hawk back to pass again, scrambling around, trying to buy some time, firing on the run, caught near the sideline, and they're going to rule it a catch. A nice catch right there, and there's Zach Hill again. Impressive grab, and moves the chains yet again.
Zach Hill doing a good job of working back to his quarterback right there. Your senior quarterback rolling to his left. Hey, if you're low, go high. If you're high, go low. If you're the higher route, work back to your quarterback. If you're underneath, work up. Simple scramble drill rules.
That last catch, number 10 on the season for Hill. He's got 2 today. As they'll hand it off to Parrish, trying to find the edge on the outside and still on his feet. Some slippery running. Parrish still going, breaking another tackle. And he's going to go all the way into the red zone. It's going to be 1st and goal.
Eric, he did a great job making people miss, but it doesn't happen if he doesn't run with tremendous patience. Those stretch zone plays, man, that can be really, really tough. You got to let big offensive linemen work east to west, and you got to let them get up the field just a little bit and deliver those blocks. And sometimes it requires you to stretch, and then as soon as you see that alley, you got to get north. Great job right there by the young back, Donovan Parrish.
Looks like we have a injury timeout on the field after the big run. 8:17 here remaining in the second quarter of play. 7-0 your score. Parkview scoring on the opening drive, a 1-play drive, and they're knocking on the door right here as they're in another goal-to-go situation. But, of course, their previous drive was a goal-to-go one. South Gwinnett with a huge goal line stand. What do you think that they have to do to make another stand?
Hope that field position resets after this impending score, I would imagine. I feel like South Gwinnett's had the ball backed up inside their own 5. and Parkview's had the control of the, field position battle that's going on right now, that's waging between two defenses that were kind of controlling this football game prior to this Parkview stops, or this Parkview possession. So I think if you're South Gwinnett, you try your best to make a defensive stand here, but as soon as you get an offensive possession where you're not backed up inside your own 5, you probably feel like you can breathe just a little bit.
It'll be interesting to see how their game plan changes should they get the ball back with better field position. Clock starting to run again after the injury timeout. Approaching the 8-minute mark here. Play clock at 7. Shotgun snap. Hawk handing it off. There's Paris again. Going towards the goal line, and he's in. Touchdown, Parkview.
That
makes it
wide
13-0.
I thought Maishawn Nesbitt had a great block out on the edge. Doing a good job keeping his hands inside. Not getting called for a hold as Paris, the backup running back, gets a score in there.
Second touchdown on the season for Donovan Paris. He's had a nice game, and they've got a chance to make it 14-0 here with the PAT. And ironically enough, we talked about how Spain was the lead dog of sorts in the backfield, but we've been seeing a lot of both thus far for Parkview, as the extra point is up and good.
Yeah, as this lead continues to stretch, I would imagine you're going to see a little bit more of them as well.
So now it's a big drive here for South Gwinnett. They're down 14. What do you think they got to do to get some points on the board here as they face a 14-0 deficit?
We got 6 pass attempts to about, 30 runs?
Yeah.
Woo. It's like we're watching a 1990s slugfest right now.
7:50 remaining after that touchdown drive, and I'm taking a look at my drive chart right now. I won't be able to count it on the fly, but I see a lot more ticks for the Panthers than I do for the Comets. They've been dominating time of possession thus far.
Time of possession and the field position battle, I think that's what's resulted in these 14 points so far. Seen the first possession for Parkview, the first score was led by a great punt return.
Maybe South Gwinnett will want to try and get a spark from their special teams unit. That is another well-booted kickoff, and it goes into the end zone for a touchback. So the return game not been much of a factor thus far for South Gwinnett. Nice job by Parkview to just boot it into the end zone, remove all doubt. Here comes the Comet offense once again. They've had 4 drives and 4 punts. They're looking to get something going here in the second quarter.
I'd come out, and I would probably run Nate Miller and just say, hey, look, we're going to have to run the football today. We know that. Let's add the quarterback in, and let's create some sustained possessions right here for a South Gwinnett football team, rather, that hasn't been able to do so.
Miller out in the shotgun. 1 receiver to his right, 2 to his left as he shifts the back over to his left side.
Parkview's even lightened the box just a little bit for you.
They'll hand it off to Appling, and Appling churning forward, but not a whole lot on that carry. Gain of maybe a few as it brings up second down.
But that's what it can't be for South Gwinnett. You can't have 7 guys in the box and a ball carrier with Parkview only having 6 guys in the box and result of 2.5 yards. That's not what it can be for a football team that's pushed guys around during games in which they've had success on the offensive side of the football.
And that's where maybe running Miller could come into play. Talk about it. They always say extra blocker as they will hand it off to the back again. And a big celebration there from the Parkview defense. They're fired up. The crowd's fired up. It's third down.
Antonio White's what I call a flash player, Eric. Every time you see him, he's flashing, whether it be on film or whether it be just, every other down. It's just always flashing. Big-time flash player.
White had another flash play earlier on in the game. A nice pass breakup, tipping it at the line of scrimmage. Third down and long again for South Gwinnett. Miller dropping back. Quick release. That one fired and broken up nicely as that's going to fall for 4th down.
What a great jump on the route right there by Terrence Curtis. Great anticipation, driving down on the route, getting his hands in there right as the ball is approaching the receiver, and getting a nice PBU to force the fourth down.
Terrence Curtis has offers from UCF and Maryland. He had a pick 6 versus North Gwinnett, and last week was named the Parkview Defensive Player of the Week. 3 tackles and 5 passes broken up. He's a nice young player. And once again, the punting unit out for the Comets here on fourth down. Punt booted up very high.
He's gonna return it.
And it will be returned. We saw one dangerous return already. Now trying to shift gears a little bit, switch up the field. It's going to be brought down at the 41-yard line.
South Gwinnett right now is running what my dad used to call the old Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Run, run, pass. You run on first, you run on second, and then when you look up and it's 3rd and 9, you pass. That's all we got going on right now for South Gwinnett's offense. Run, run, pass. Run, run, pass.
9 rushing attempts thus far for South Gwinnett. And 8 pass attempts.
And they're all the last play of the possession.
Absolutely.
As they're facing 3rd and long. They are a run, 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 pass on 3rd and long football team right now. You've got to break out of your tendencies.
Every first play thus far for South Gwinnett has been a run. Here comes Parkview. 5th drive of the game for them. And it's going to be lane for Spain as he takes it all the way. See you indeed. Kyer Spain makes it 20-0. An exclamation mark of a touchdown for the Panthers.
I mean, it can't get much easier for him. I mean, the hole big as can be. Completely untouched on a 45-yard touchdown run right there for the Parkview Panthers.
Kyer Spain continues his strong game. That's his 2nd touchdown of the game. And the 2nd one-play touchdown drive of the game for Parkview. It doesn't get much easier than that. Spain now with 6 rushing touchdowns on the season. And depending on how the rest of this game goes, he could be knocking on the door of that 1,000-yard mark. He came in with 890 on the game. As the extra point is going to be no good. He pulled it. Wide left, so the score will remain 20-0 here with 6:19 remaining in the 2nd quarter. Kyer Spain getting it done, a 45-yard rushing touchdown. And now it's a 3-possession game here for South Gwinnett. They've really got to get something going.
It's the running back in Kyer Spain. We told you earlier in the football game, he was playing middle linebacker last year. He had 120 tackles at Mike for this football team a year ago. Very few carries as a running back, and now he's the bell cow back for a Parkview offense who's down 2 starters on their offensive line right now tonight, and they're still ripping off huge explosive plays like that right there. I don't know who's leading the state in rushing, but it has to be Spain. Spain's probably got to be pretty close.
He has been an excellent back this season. Going into the season, Coach Godfrey said that Spain will play division football somewhere. He currently has no offers, but you have to imagine that might be changing real soon if he keeps playing like this. Kickoff is going to be booted away, and that one into the end zone for a touchback. And so now the stakes getting raised just a little bit more here with every possession for the Comets. We'll see what their plan of attack is here. They're going to be set up 1st and 10 from their own 20.
You've got to break a tendency. If you're South Gwinnett right here, you have got to do something to change the course of action that's going on right now. We've seen a bunch of 3-and-outs that have been a result of run, run, pass. Okay, so maybe come out here on 1st down and try to take a shot. You've really only tried to throw the ball downfield one time, and you had your wide receiver behind the defense. Parkview is still very, very adamant about playing guys tight and close within the box and playing cover 1. They got 1 center field safety right now and a bunch of man defense.
They'll go play action on 1st down. Hit as he throws is Miller firing, and that one's going to be caught on the run. Streaking down the sideline, he's got 1 man to beat, trying to put a move on him, and he's going to be 1st and goal. And right on cue, a big play through the air.
All you got to do is listen to the man on the call. No, I'm just kidding. Great play right there by Nate Miller. Thought he did a great job of standing in there in the face of pressure and delivering that shot. It's a play on that, up. It's kind of an out and up right there from the number 2 receiver. Some would call it a wheel. I don't. It's an out and up, and it takes a while, okay? And sometimes you're going to get hit, and sometimes you got to throw that ball a little early. Nate Miller doing all of those things right there. Huge explosive play for a South Gwinnett team that needed it drastically.
That was Pierre Ford on the catch, and they're set up in the red zone here, 1st and goal. 6:06 remaining now in the quarter. Looks like getting things sorted out here, personnel-wise, for the Comets. And talk about the throw under pressure for Miller. He was getting drilled. He took a lick, as they say, when he let the ball fly. And now we have a stoppage. It's like a defensive change being made for Parkview.
I don't know what in the world this stoppage could be. Looks like Coach Lamar from South Gwinnett raising some concerns on the far side with the white hat. I think they're going to call South Gwinnett. I see a flag on the far side of the field. I think they're going to maybe get a sideline warning based off the conversations I'm seeing happening right now between the white hat and coaches. I think there's maybe a disagreement on what a sideline penalty should be called.
They will sort that out, and be interesting to see the flag, how it could potentially impact this drive if it pushes the Comets back a little bit.
Typically the first sideline penalty is a sideline warning. Okay, you'll see the referee kind of do one of them crowd control, motions towards the camera. Let's see, here we go. Unsportsmanlike conduct on South Gwinnett. Someone just got ejected. I think potentially a coach. Somebody was just ejected.
That is going to push them back 15 yards. That could be a crucial play in this game, as they went from goal to go, and now they'll be goal to go, but 15 yards back further. Have not seen anyone leave the field yet.
I have also not seen a coach address a specific kid. Normally, if it's an ejection-like penalty, you'll see some type of coach address one player. I haven't seen anything along the lines. I see something on the far sideline over there, but that's the kicker, Calvillo, walking off with somebody. Surely it wasn't the kicker being called for that. It was offensive play. It was somebody on the sideline was just ejected. It was a non-starter, it appears. Non-contributors. It's a weird play in general. South Gwinnett, look, what was a ball inside the 5. Now they're looking at a 1st and 10 from the 35.
The 35. 1st and 35 of sorts. Talk about being behind the chains. First play, they are going to run it up the middle. Gain maybe 1 or 2.
So it's actually now 2nd and 9. They reset the sticks for them. So they gave them a 1st and 10, but it was a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty from the spot of whatever foul I don't know. That was a mess. That's when having the referee mic'd up kind of helps.
Absolutely.
But even in high school, and they're not going to name a number, so we wouldn't have known. But nonetheless, we had an ejection, and everything's settled. 2nd and 8 now for South Gwinnett.
Well, that fresh set of chains certainly does help their cases. That would have been a tall task to try and pick up 1st and goal from the 35. Now they've only got 8 yards to get on these next couple of plays. Wide receiver Carter in motion. Miller will fake the give, now firing out into the flat. That one's going to be caught near the sideline and being hit hard and pushed upfield. That hard hit might give him a few extra yards in the first down, though.
Yeah, that hard hit delivered by Nolan Marshall. Marshall, an interesting football player. His sophomore year had a season-ending injury early on in camp. Junior year, something of the similar sorts. So now here he is as a senior, getting really his first opportunity to play varsity football, and he's leading their team in tackles right now. An absolute efforter is Marshall.
It was Millian McKenzie who was on the catch as it brings up 1st down and 10. Back near the red zone for the Comets. Handoff up the middle to the 20-yard line. Gain of about 4 for Billingsley. 2nd down at about 6. So officially now in the red zone for the first time tonight for the Comets after the penalty pushing them back. You have to imagine here with 4:15 and counting remaining in the second quarter, they're hungry to capitalize. Miller, another play fake. Dangerous pass there, nearly picked off, and a flag comes in at the end.
I don't like that. Are they going to call pass interference on Terrence Curtis? I don't like that at all. The defensive back has the right to work through the receiver for the football.
We'll see what the official call is. It was Curtis who came flying in to make the play.
You cannot penalize defensive backs for jumping routes. I think that's what the discussion is about right now. Are we really about to call a pass interference on a play where the corner just made a good play? Terrence Ferguson jumped the route. Or Terrence Curtis, rather. They're going to wave it off. I like that.
So there you go.
Good no call. I like that.
So that'll set up 3rd down and about 7 after a nice play by Curtis.
He's had a good couple of drives right here as Curtis jumped a couple of routes. And that's a tough route. I mean, that's speed out. They're attacking that corner specifically. What a great play by Curtis.
3rd down and 7 for the Comets.
Mike Matthews back there lurking.
Miller dropping back, running out of time, still searching for an opening. Miller's going to be brought down. A huge sack for the Panthers, and it brings up 4th down.
Jacoby Carter on the tackle right there, on the sack, rather. And that's a sack as Nate Miller limps off with what appears to be a shoulder injury. This isn't good for South Gwinnett. They don't have a quarterback right now on the field. I don't even know if they have to recognize it, right? They got 10 guys on the field with no quarterback on a 4th and 15. They're going to have to call a timeout and bring on the punt unit.
They do call a timeout. So that's the 2nd timeout of the half for South Gwinnett. 2nd sack of the game for Parkview. And it brings up a very interesting situation here. 4th down and long at the 31-yard line. The line to gain is at the 13-yard line. Got to have 27 left here in the second.
Got to have somewhat of an internal clock right there as a quarterback. I know the pocket was collapsing on him. He was trying to evade left and then got pressure in his face, tried to turn back right, and ultimately got hit. But ultimately, as soon as we get to the top of our drop on 3rd and 9 right there, and we feel pressure, we've got to get to our hot route or whoever our now receiver is. We've got to get to him as opposed to taking a sack in the red zone on 3rd down. As we see,
Miller is leaving for the locker room, so that'll be another thing to keep a pulse on here. The starting quarterback with an injury for South Gwinnett. We'll see what kind of personnel the Comets come out with here on 4th and very long.
We'll get our first look at Noah Sheffield right here. I would imagine you don't really want to throw the football with a young quarterback right here. First play, maybe a halfback draw of some sorts.
And he will drop back. He's going to fire it deep down the field. That one up in the air, and it's going to be intercepted. Intercepted on 4th and long, and that's going to be a turnover as the Panthers are going to get the ball back.
Matter of fact, it's better than a punt right there on 4th down. They're going to essentially pin Parkview inside the 10 on what was a punt.
So that was on the interception, Jay Crawford making the play, as the Panthers will take over 1st and 10 at about their own 7-yard line. First turnover of the game for either team, and that one coming with 3:20 remaining. 3:20 and now 3:19 as they just take 1 second off.
Eric, earlier you were asking me, hey, in a position, ball inside the 10, if you're, the defense, do you go after them? Do you maybe try to make something happen? Now, yes. Now you go. Now you pin your ears back, and you go to try to make a play right here for this South Gwinnett defense.
20-0 ball game here. You have to feel they're starving for a big play on defense. They'll take whatever they can get as the first play. That's going to be a handoff up the middle, and it's been the man of the hour thus far. Kyer Spain, another carry and another nice gain.
It's not the man of the hour. It's the play of the half, and it's power and counter. That's all they're running. They are running power and counter, over and over and over again with a little bit of wide zone mixed in there with Paris.
And now it looks like we have a player jumping. So a flag will come in and maybe a free 5 yards here for the Panthers. And it will be offside. So 1st down now, 2:55 remaining.
As the clock ticks below 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. Parkview not in a hurry really to score here, but you definitely don't want to, stall out right here on this possession.
Fresh set of chains here for Hawk, and more movement. Flag's coming in again.
Going to call encroachment on South Gwinnett again.
So another 5 yards, and that sets up 1st and 5. 10 yards on back-to-back offsides calls. Parkview working their way near midfield. They've run one play thus far on the drive. That one
I'd
a
be
7-yard
watching
rush
Mike
for Spain.
Matthews somehow, some way.
Hawk will fake the give. Dropping back, that one firing in and out of the hands of Carson Wilson, the motion man, as it brings up 2nd and 5. So that only the second play from scrimmage of this drive. Incomplete pass does stop the clock here with 2:17 remaining. Bit of a 2-minute drill situation for Hawk and the Panthers, trying to get some points before going into the locker room.
Yeah, got 2 timeouts here. 2nd and 5, 2 minutes and 17 seconds left. Plenty of time on the clock, especially considering a high school football clock stops on first downs.
2nd and 5, and they'll hand it off.
It's counter
and there's
again,
Spain
man.
again on the same play again. More space for Kyer Spain. Down the sideline, trying to beat the final man, and he is going to take it all the way. Kyer Spain, 3rd touchdown of the half, and that makes it 26-0. Oh, man.
Counter. I mean, they have done nothing, revolutionary here. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're running what is working, and what has worked in the first half is counter and getting outside the tackle box and working it. I love Kyer Spain's ability to bend that play back in, right? As soon as he captured the edge, felt that defender on his back hip chasing him down, knew he didn't have the speed to just stay straight, so he bent it back in just a little bit. Defy that angle with an angle of yourself. Great job right there by Kyer Spain. Watch him bend it back in.
There you go, making the man miss and then giving himself some more space as he scampers up the field. The extra point up and good makes it 27-0 with 1:23 and counting showing on the clock here for the second quarter.
We obviously don't have live stats, but I would imagine that puts him over the century mark on the season, or excuse me, the 1,000 mark on the season.
What a season it's been for him.
5.5 football games. Kyer Spain, once a middle linebacker, now has 1,000 yards here at Parkview High School.
And 7 touchdowns to boot. Go figure. He's got 3 of them in this game. And the 3 touchdowns that he's gotten have been on drives of one play, and 3 plays. That's certainly a way to limit your touches.
Eric, that last run was probably the run that whatever recruiting coordinator that's evaluating Kyer Spain right now is probably saying, I don't know about his long speed. I don't know about his ability to defy angles in open space and really be an explosive game breaker. Well, by God, if you take it 70 yards against South Gwinnett High School, you got enough speed to play on Saturdays. Kyer Spain doing a great job right there.
It's been a showcase for Spain, and Paris with the other rushing touchdown as well. So the Panthers getting it done, ground and pound, all 4 of their touchdowns coming from their rushing attack thus far. You have to imagine Coach Godfrey is going to be a very happy man at halftime. His team with a 4-possession lead in the region opener. 27-0 your score here as we approach halftime.
And doing it without 2 starters on the offensive line.
It looks like they put some more time back up on the clock. They set it back to 1:15, and now they're winding it as it's at 1:05 and counting.
Thunder. And the kick. Looks like it's going to be another non-returnable kick as South Gwinnett will get the football just at the 25-yard line. All right, 52.5 seconds left. Backup quarterback in the game. Starting quarterback already in the locker room, getting his, what I would imagine is a shoulder addressed by the medical team. So, if you're South Gwinnett, maybe lick your wounds, milk this 52.5 seconds left on this clock, and take it to the half. Yeah.
Comets back out on offense here now after the big play by Spain and big play by the Parkview defense.
That was Nolan Marshall on the play right there, just blowing everything up. Look, if you're the read key, if you're the guy that they're, claiming that they're not going to block, just go run to the mesh point and blow it up. That's exactly what Nolan Marshall did right there. Number 54, Abdul Muhammad cleans it up after all things settle. But that play was blown up by Nolan Thompson to start the play. Nolan Marshall. Now, if you're Parkview, hey, you got timeouts right here. You can burn them up. Maybe get the ball back, but I think they're going to be content with taking it to the half. Yeah, they're going to run it down to the half right here, and that'll be your halftime score. Parkview up 27-0 here at the half. And we're going to take it down to Kalen on the sideline.
All right, we're going to take it down now to Kalen on the side.
The big orange jungle with the half just ended, and we've had some great football played. Kyer Spain has come in with 3 touchdowns already, and we've got a lot more football left to play. We are 27-0, and we've got another half left.
As always, Kalen, back up here in the booth. Your score at halftime, 27-0. It's been a dominant first half showing for Parkview in the big orange jungle. The Panthers have been on the prowl, and it's been the ground game that's gotten it done thus far. 4 touchdowns for Parkview, all of them coming on the ground. We've got 3 of them for Spain and 1 of them for Paris. That'll be a 20-minute mark showing on the scoreboard here for halftime, as we will take a look at some stats that we have for you. Just taking a look at the play breakdown. And for Parkview, they certainly seem to have been dominating running the plays thus far. Been a lot of 3-and-outs for South Gwinnett. First 3 drives, actually, of the game for South Gwinnett, 3-and-outs. And for Parkview, they've got 3 scoring drives of 3 plays or less, including 2 drives that were just 1 play. That one set up by the nice return for the first touchdown of the game, and then a long touchdown run ripped off by Spain near the end of the half. Brooks, 27-0 here. It's the first game of region play for Parkview. What have you liked so far? What have you seen from them?
Everything. I think they've been the football team that's executed here in the first half and not really gone out of their way to do it. They've kind of just been doing what they do. Look, we told you to start the football game. Both these teams like to run the football. Parkview doing the better job of running the football right now. If you come into a matchup and you're similarly created, if you will, as football teams, you're a physical, run-heavy football team. The team that does that the best on that given day is probably going to come out on top. And there hasn't been any question so far in the first half. Parkview has managed to run the football really, really successfully. They've only dropped back to pass 1 or 2 times in the first half alone. So doing a great job of running the ball, controlling the clock, and also winning special teams. I think the field position battle has been dominated so far by Parkview. They've done a great job of returning kicks when need be, and also, pinning South Gwinnett back in their own end.
When we get a chance, we're going to pull up some scores from around the state as well and keep you updated on those. While I get those pulled up, anything else you want to look out for here in the second half?
A response from South Gwinnett. I mean, I think this is a well-coached football team, a football team that has a lot of self-respect for themselves. So I don't expect them to lay down at all in the second half, but you got to come out and put something on the board. And I think it has to be by way of changing something offensively. They have tried and tried and tried to run the football to open this football game. They've only thrown the ball 5 times in the first half, all 5 times coming on third down. That can't be the game plan. You've got to have some type of balance to your offense. As you stated, Coach Lamar himself said, ideally they want to be a balanced football team, right? Ideally, everybody wants to be a 50-50 run-to-pass football team. That's how you keep people off, script and on their toes as a defense. Tonight, they've done the complete opposite. Tonight, they've been an obvious run football team, and now we don't know the status of Nate Miller, their starting quarterback, going into the second half. So not a great night right now for South Gwinnett, but you have 2 more quarters. You got 24 minutes of game time to come out and have some type of answer and response.
All right, we have some score updates to give you from around the state of Georgia. In the second quarter of play, Lee County is leading Houston County 36-7 in that one. There's about 3 minutes to go in that one.
Let me teach you a little something about South Georgia. I know, it looks like Houston, doesn't it? That's Houston.
Houston. Well, thank you.
I kid you not.
Phonetics lesson right there.
Yeah,
as you could
South
tell.
Georgia.
New to the state a little bit, so apologies if I butcher any of these names. I had to get some pronunciation lessons last week when doing some scores and talking about some other schools. I learned that it's pronounced Dacula and not Dacula. It does not rhyme with Dracula, but Dacula. That was a nice little lesson. Taking a look at some other scores, we have Oconee County versus HCA. HCA leading that one 21-7 in the second quarter. About a minute remaining in that one.
That's Heritage Christian.
Heritage Christian. Lamar County versus Pike County. That one is at halftime. Lamar County up big 42-7 over Pike County. In the second quarter, we have Prince Avenue going up against Mary Persons. Prince Avenue up 20-7 in that one. Banks County taking on East Jackson in the second quarter. 27-18 your score in that one. Rome versus Woodstock, 42-0 in that one in the second quarter.
Darlington up on Coosa, 38-0 at the half. Ooh, a little bit of a shocker here. Calhoun up on Cartersville, 28-7 midway through the second quarter. Cass taking care of business against Woodland, 42-0. That Lee County score is one you were talking about earlier. I was super fascinated to see what was going to happen in that football game. Lee County handling business up 36-7 right now in the second quarter. Great Atlantic Christian down at home to Cambridge, 21-6. Brookwood up on Archer, another Region 4 7A classification matchup here in Gwinnett County. Brookwood up 14-3 on Archer at home. Roswell beating up on Blessed Trinity 19-0. A little Roswell battle right there between the two Roswell County schools. Whitewater up on Fayette County. A little Fayette County squabble down there. Whitewater up 43-7 on the Fayette County Tigers. Discovery up on Berkmar 20-0. Temple up on Midtown. Ooh, that's a West Georgia football score if I've ever seen one. Temple up 8-0 in the first quarter. Dacula down 9-7 in a Forsyth County battle between Mountain View and Dacula. Grayson in a fist fight up on Newton on the road, 3-0 as we speak. Sandy Creek, ooh, that's a good score right there, 23-3 against Harris County. Harris County, a good South Georgia football team coming up, playing Sandy Creek down there on the west side over by the airport. Rockmart up on Model, 34-7 up in northwest Georgia. East Forsyth up 28-0 on East Hall. Telfair County in a battle against Hawkinsville, 22-20 at the half. Mill Creek beating up on Central Gwinnett, 30-0 at the half. Nothing else really compelling on that one for me. On the slate, let's see here. Sprayberry up 10-7 in a Cobb County battle over Alpharetta right now. Walton playing North Paulding tonight. No score in progress in that football game. So, some tight football games around the state of Georgia here on a Thursday night football courtesy of Hurricane Ian.
All right. So thanks for those score updates, Brooks. Now I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Who are some of the top players that you've seen here in this game thus far?
All right, so I tweeted about Marcus Maskell, the left tackle for South Gwinnett, 6'5", 290-pound junior. His brother plays offensive line right now at Clemson. I tweeted about him before the game. I've already had about 3 or 4 coaches text me. So you're already late on Marcus Maskell. I'm telling you right now, if you're listening, you're late. You are late. If you are a director of player personnel and your offensive line coach has not offered Marcus Maskell, you might need to figure out what's going on. He's a really, really good-looking football player with a really, really high pedigree in terms of, family pedigree and history of Division I athletics. Mike Matthews, obviously, we know about him. Teams come out here to play Parkview, and they say literally everyone else is allowed to beat us tonight. 4 is not. And I think that's been evident and adamant when it comes to how South Gwinnett's kind of defended him. And they haven't really given him an opportunity to impact the football game defensively either because they're not throwing the ball. So I think those two guys for me, one from Parkview and Mike Matthews, one from South Gwinnett and Marcus, that I think are great-looking football players. They're going to have a long future on Saturday. Both juniors as well, so got another year of them.
I know normally we do keys to the game. We'll do keys for the second half here. What are 3 things you think we should highlight on offense and defense going into the second half?
If you're South Gwinnett's coaching staff, you're going to find out who Noah Sheffield is right now. The backup quarterback, you have no options. You've got to come out and throw the football. I know that's not who you are. You got a 27-point deficit to overcome right now, and we don't know how long that shoulder injury for what appears to be, again, a shoulder injury from Nate Miller, is going to ultimately last. So you're entering region play, and you're going into a second half of a football game right now with a backup quarterback who you might want to find out something about moving through the rest of this football game, because you might have to, enter the rest of your region play with him as your starting quarterback on a football team that's really, really talented. So I think for Parkview, you see a little bit more of the same, right? Come back out, run the football, get out of here as a healthy squad, and really control and milk the clock here in the second half. No need to do anything special. I mean, Colin Hawk's got 3 pass attempts in the first half alone. You don't need to come out here and chunk it around. You just need to run the rock.
Sheffield, a sophomore, and getting his first real taste of region play here. What a stage for him, and facing 27-0, you have to feel maybe just get out there, string some cleats together, get some experience, and who knows? Always want to take a shot. They always say next man up.
That's assuming the starting quarterback, Nate Moore, is not coming back out, but, I mean, I saw a dangling arm running towards the sideline. That's normally, it could be a stinger, right? Maybe he just, licked his wounds a little bit at the half, and we might see him come back out. But normally this would be about the time, if you're a quarterback with a shoulder injury to your throwing arm, you'd be coming out trying to figure out whether or not you could throw the pill.
Put yourself in the locker room of these two teams here. What do you think the messages that are being parroted in the locker room right now? I have to imagine 2 very different messages probably going on.
Yeah, so if I were a head football coach of a team down 4 scores at the half, I would just explain to them kind of what I just walked you through. Like, if you're South Gwinnett, your football season just started. You have nothing but region play ahead of you. The rest of tonight's game is about setting us up for success moving forward throughout the year. That would be my message. Yeah, we got a 28-point deficit, but as a coaching staff, I got to know that we had 6 possessions in the first half, and we stalled out on all of them. So if we score on half of our possessions in the second half, we're still down a score. So it's about stacking quality reps and stacking quality attempts for South Gwinnett moving forward in the second half. And as a head football coach for Parkview right now, I'm just telling my guys, hey, do what we do and don't do anything stupid. Play within yourself moving forward in this football game, and let's get out. Let's get home.
It is worth noting that both of these teams, their next games will not come next week, but actually 2 weeks from now, sort of a bye week of sorts for them. How do you think that that's going to affect how they close out this game, knowing that they've got an extra week to kind of rest up a little bit?
I mean, it's an interesting question. I've never really thought about it like, hey, do you call a game differently in the second half knowing you've got a week off? I probably wouldn't. If I'm Parkview, we are going day 1 install the rest of the game. We are not doing anything offensively or defensively that is schematically different than, day 1. The simplest stuff we've got, we come out, we put that on tape in the second half. We don't do anything unique. We don't put anything new on tape for sure. And defensively, we line up and we play football. I'm not trying to give an opponent any indication of what we're trying to do next week if I'm Parkview. If you're South Gwinnett, you've got to get your new quarterback, who we believe we're going to see in Noah Sheffield in the second half. You got to get him comfortable, got to figure out what it is that his skill set allows your offense to do moving forward.
It's been a lot of big plays in this first half so far. What do you think has been the most crucial play, the most deciding play thus far in this first half?
Ooh, probably the first long run from Kyer Spain. I think it put the game just out of reach at 21-0, and obviously the second big breaker was kind of the back breaker right before the half. But I thought the Kyer Spain 45-yard run right there in the midway through the second quarter, I thought that was kind of like a notable wow. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop the run tonight against this Parkview unit, who's found success tonight running one play. They ran counter the entire first half and ran for about 250 yards.
And as a film guy, obviously you consider yourself big X's and O's person, and so I'm going to ask, how do you counter the counter?
Yeah, you got to fire the safety. You got to fire the front side safety downhill. He's got to fill his lane. But the problem with that is you got Mike Matthews on the backside that might take you deep on a post route from the slot. So as soon as you try to add a hat into the box, the counter, pun intended, for Parkview is to beat you over the top with Mike Matthews through the passing attack too. So long story short, the frontside defensive end's got to do something different. He can't keep getting logged like he is right now.
Matthews been a quiet night of sorts, at least relatively speaking for him. I believe only one catch thus far on the game.
The one reception on 3rd and 5 and ran for about
only
17
3 pass
yards.
attempts, so not much that they've had to do through the passing game thus far. Colin Hawk has had a very productive season under center. Taking a look at some of his numbers, he's a 3-year varsity starter coming into this game. 13 passing touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 803 yards, which clocks out to around 160.6 yards per game. And last season for South Gwinnett, he didn't have to do a whole lot in that one either. He was 9 for 14, 43 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception, but it's been an even quieter day for him thus far. Of course, the previous meeting between these two teams was played last year, as that one was won by Parkview at South Gwinnett, a score of 21-12. So Parkview looking to make it back-to-back wins against the Comets here. This one opening up region play 7A, of course the highest level of play here in Georgia High School, out in Region 4. And as we talked about all game long, this is only the beginning, as we're going to have a lot of great region games coming up. And after a week of rest, these two teams will be back at it again with region games, as South Gwinnett will take on Grayson at home and Parkview will take on Archer in the road. Both of those games coming 2 weeks from now. About 5:20 and counting here before we start the second half. Any other points you want to hit on here as we get ready for second half of play?
No, man, it's hard to overanalyze, 27-point, halftime leads right now. I think we've kind of talked all we can about how, if you're South Gwinnett, stack some positivity, man. Get something going in terms of positive momentum for your football team to lead tonight with some type of sense of confidence. I'm not saying you're not going to win this football game. It's not impossible. But judging by your offensive success rate right now, it doesn't look very possible.
Both these teams with two relatively experienced coaches. Eric Godfrey has been with Parkview since 2014, and talk about the offense. He has offensive roots. He also was the offensive coordinator from 1999 to 2003, and with his time in Parkview, he's been very successful. Back-to-back region champs in 2018 and 2019. He's turned this Parkview program back into a winner. And for South Gwinnett, it's a new face on the block, but only new for South Gwinnett. He's been around for a while. Brian Lamar spent 9 seasons with Tucker prior to taking over in 2021. Overall, he's 88-36 as a head coach. And for Eric Godfrey, overall as a head coach with Parkview, 66-34. So a lot of games coached between these two coaches. You have to feel like they've seen situations on both ends like this before.
Yeah, seeing Coach Lamar kind of change regimes, if you will, going from Tucker to South Gwinnett was a little bit of a shocker to most that follow the Metro Atlanta area schools closely, and he's really brought most of his coaching staff with him as well from Tucker, so that kind of just shows you what his colleagues, if you will, think about him. So kind of a complete change of guard, if you will, for a coach, and Coach Lamar that had a tremendous amount of success, like you said, at a Tucker program that is perennially really good.
Another fun fact here about Coach Lamar, not sure if you're familiar with this or not, but in 2016 he was named the Atlanta Falcons head coach of the year, got to be an honorary captain and be out on the field for the coin toss for a game versus the 49ers, and was then flown to Orlando for the Pro Bowl and was one of 32 nominees for the NFL Don Shula High School Coach of the Year.
Bona fides.
Just nice little accolade there for Brian Lamar, and these two coaches ready to get their teams back out. We can see South Gwinnett huddling back up near the end zone as they have retaken the field, and some more halftime festivities going on here at Parkview. It's been a party, a Panther party thus far. 27-0 as they bring in their home opener in style, bringing in the sawdust turf in style. And not a lot of home games at the beginning of the year, but not a lot of home games in general. I believe only 4 home games the entire season for Parkview, and of course the first one coming all the way at the end of September. Not often you see something like that, but a great turnout here. A lot of orange donned in the stands. Fans have been loud, and you have to imagine they'll stay in full throat here for the rest of the game, as now down at 2:28 and counting, getting ready for the second half. Once again, 27-0 your score. Parkview dominating in the first half.
What's going on here?
Not much. How about you?
I'm chilling,
I'd like to welcome Alex to the booth here. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We're down there watching the game, obviously. You're looking at, I'm sure you guys have already talked about it. Parkview looks good right now, 27-0. Looks like South Gwinnett still kind of got a little bit of a hangover from last week. I think last week, South Gwinnett, they were playing well. They were playing well that first half, and then they had 4 big plays that really lost them the game. I mean, the score looked lopsided, true indeed, if you're looking on paper, but those 4 big plays just hurt them so bad. It was special teams.
Special teams
hurt them all night long. I think they gave up one big run to the quarterback right down the pipe there. He was able to score. And then you're looking at Parkview. Parkview had the lead 17-14 over Mill Creek, going into the thick of things, right? And then they went forward on 4th down, just like they did here. And I know Coach Godfrey was trying to get a confidence booster for his guys, but they couldn't punch it in. Just like they couldn't punch it in here, and they couldn't punch it in on, I think it was like 4th and 2 when they played Mill Creek. And Mill Creek comes right back down to scores, and then the wheels fell off. So like I said, man, I think you're looking at 2 teams that, you know, if you watched our big game ready package, what Coach Brian Lamar said was it's whoever gets off the mat. That's really the thing, right? Whoever gets off the mat. After a big loss like that, you get excited. South Gwinnett with North Cross and Parkview with Mill Creek. You get excited and, you know, you fall short of expectations. Now what he's saying is who can get off the mat, who can take that punch and say, okay, hey, guys, we're good. Let's play ball, right? And it looks like as of tonight, Friday, that Parkview is the one that's answered that call, you know. Parkview's answered the bell, answered the challenge. They come out here motivated, 27-0. They jumped up, and they look good. You know, you could always tell a team by a couple of things, right? Excuse me. You always tell a team by a couple of things. How you start the game, how you end the half, how you come out of halftime, and then how you close the game. And we can go with more in depth, like, you know, first downs, how you handle in the red zone, 3rd down, all those kind of different things. But those are very important key factors. And Parkview is checking all the boxes tonight. Now, from South Gwinnett's standpoint, they got to find something, man. They got to find something, whether it's in the running game or the passing game. You can tell they have explosive plays there. Their issue comes when they have to put together a full drive against a team like this. And that is where, you know, you're looking at it like, they're struggling a little bit, man. So, you know, I'm curious to see how the second half goes. I'm curious to see how South Gwinnett responds. Have we went around the state yet on these scores? I'm curious.
I'm sorry?
I know I came in here late. Have we went around the state on these scores already?
A little bit, yeah. Me and Brooks were going with them earlier. A few big blowouts brewing and a few close games as well, but there are a few games. I'm sure Brooks could go in more in depth as he's maybe a little more familiar with the teams, but well, there's one score, 42-7 near halftime. Big blowout brewing there, but as we mentioned earlier, opening region action, and these are the games that really start to count.
Yeah, big nights, man. Region nights, and your coach will tell you, you know, yes, do they want to win the other games? You want to win every time you step on the field, every time you step on the turf, grass, however it is, whichever you got over there. But at the end of the day, what gets you into the playoffs are the region games. And for Parkview and for South Gwinnett and pretty much everybody across the state, they've had this circle. Looking at the Blessed Trinity Roswell Hornets game, wow, Roswell up 26-0. You know, they got the quarterback over there, KJ Smith, good quarterback. He got hurt when they played Milton when we did that game. One of the biggest, most well-attended games in the history of Milton.
Wow.
The Roswell versus Milton game. And, you know, he got knocked out of the game, and the backup quarterback came in, did well. But KJ has obviously showed that, you know, he's that guy over there. Big game over here. Calhoun 28 over Cartersville. Cartersville 14. High hopes over there in Cartersville, but they've lost a lot over the past couple years. You know, Calhoun, I think they're reemerging now. They're reemerging. They're looking like a team to beat. As to see, we go down the rest of this list here. Thomasville 25 over Monroe 14. Colquitt County 30-7 over Lincoln, Florida. It's going to be a big win right there for them right there. At Colquitt County, I'm telling you what, sneakily, Colquitt County is one of my picks to make at least the semifinals when it comes to the tournament, as we like to call it, the second phase of the football season, because they are playing very, very well. Big win over here, Troup County 63, North Clayton 0. It's getting a little tough out there. It's getting a little tough out there for them. Troup County, obviously a very good team. They're playing really good football. The rivalry here, Whitewater taking on Fayette County, 43-7. Whitewater's, is getting – they got up – they jumped all over them. And how about this game here? Carver Atlanta versus Peach County, 8-6. Two very, very good teams with state championship expectations. We're curious to see how it goes with that one. Grayson versus Newton. Grayson leads 3-0. Then you have Central. Both teams went in pretty well there. I think Central Gwinnett was undefeated as well as Mill Creek undefeated. And at the half, Mill Creek's 30-0. I told everybody that is my pick to win the state championship. Look, guys, they won our 8th grade state championship. I know it sounds crazy, but how about this right here? You'll love this, Eric. Guess who was in our state championship game for 8th grade years and years ago?
Could not tell you.
It's okay. Totally okay. Mill Creek and a team called Renaissance, which is Langston Hughes. And what are they doing now? That group is a senior group, and they both kicking tail all across the state. So I guess I'm getting off here. I got my buddy Brooks coming back. He's over here chilling. Yeah, taking a little break, but glad to have him back. You guys do your thing.
All right, well, thanks for that, Alex. Thanks for some context, some more score updates as we're about ready to get back for the second half of play here as the special teams units are back out on the field for the kickoff. It's going to be Parkview receiving the ball here to start the second half. As Alex talked about, Parkview got up off the mat here, coming off a 23-point loss. Both these teams coming off a 23-point loss in their previous week. And we'll see if South Gwinnett can get off the mat here in the second half. Welcome to the Jungle being shown on the video screen by the scoreboard as it's booted away and we're about ready to start the second half of play. A short kick. That one's going to be fielded up near the 25. And a bit of a lane right there is on the return. That was Spain, not the return man, but on the return team. And he's going to bring it up near the 40-yard line.
I think Kyrie Spain's a football player that after a game like tonight, putting on big explosive runs on tape against football teams that college recruiters, let's be honest, when they turn on a South Gwinnett tape, they know that defense can run. So if you're taking it off on them, you can probably take the top off just about anybody. Kyrie Spain, a name I think is going to be getting some offers come Monday or Tuesday of next week.
So that'll be a situation to monitor. A big game for Spain. He has 3 touchdowns in the first half of play, as Hawk and the offense will come out to start the second half.
Yeah, they're going to come out with 2 tight ends right now. They got number 9 and number 10 in on the possession, in on the field. I would imagine this is a run formation.
They rewind the play clock there as Hawk will play fake, and that one into the hands of Matthews. Matthews with the seam, and he's going to turn it upfield, and there goes Mike Matthews to the house. 6 more for the Panthers. My goodness.
Yeah, I think South Gwinnett was thinking the same thing I was. Big-time heavy run personnel. They leave their corners out on an island. And when you are in man-to-man coverage with no safety help, if you miss a tackle on a player like Mike Matthews, he's taking it to the door.
And for those of you keeping track at home, that is now the 3rd one-play touchdown drive for Parkview. And they've got a chance to make it 34-0 with the PAT timeout down on the field.
Yeah, it looked like Darius Owens, number 2, injured on the field. He runs both ways for them, starting safety for him as well as a receiver threat for them. It's unfortunate.
Owens, a Akron commit, also leads the team in total tackles with 38. He had 8 of them last week, and we can only hope that he's okay as he is being helped up off the field. So another injury there for South Gwinnett. I hope that all parties involved will be okay.
And Mike Matthews is a pretty good football player, huh?
Absolutely, my goodness. Talked about one of the top players in the country. That only his 2nd catch of the game, I believe, and just like nothing, taking it down the field to the house. There's that rackability again like you were talking about in the first half. You get him out in space, and he is a handful to try and corral.
You're a rack guy? I'm a yak guy.
I was going to ask you about that, actually. So
you would think it would be run after the catch, right? Rack, like you say.
But
it's actually
yak.
But it's yards after the catch and yak. So you're a rack guy? I'm a yak guy.
I go back and forth, to be honest. I started off as a yak guy because that was the first term that I saw, but I don't know, something about rack different. That rolls off the tongue.
Dare to be different, Eric. I dare you.
That is too funny. That was a question I was going to ask you 2 weeks ago. It never came up organically, and sometimes good things come to those who wait.
Sideline warning against Parkview right there. Hey, I know we don't want to run the score up, but maybe go for 2, get it to a nice round 35-0. Maybe work your 2-point conversion plays that you got. I don't know.
Looks like they will instead opt to kick it as the snap was high. Nice job by the holder to bring that one down in time. and that makes it 34-0 in a matter of 11 seconds. So Parkview not pulling any punches here in the second half.
You mentioned the holder. That's actually number 30 in there, Chesney Royds. Chesney, the only female on the Parkview roster.
There you go.
She displayed some great hands right there as the holder. And saved a potential 2 points going the other way. South Gwinnett picks that up. They probably score.
Being a holder, got to be one of the most thankless jobs in all of football. Of course, the holder and the long snapper, they call it part of the unit of the field goal. And those two right there, they only call your name usually if you mess up. But right there, a nice play by the holder. And that is a 3-point swing of sorts.
The big orange jungle, not that big, not that orange. Not going to lie to you.
Most of the orange coming from the people clothed in the Parkview side of the bleachers, but I will say it would have been cool to see orange bleachers or something like that. But I will say this too, I was talking earlier with some people. I think out of all the places I've been to thus far, the big orange jungle, that's got to be my favorite name for a stadium. Of course, home of the Parkview Panthers, as it will be booted away on the kickoff after the touchdown into the end zone. That one is dropped, but it touches the ground for a touchback. I think for the big orange jungle, something that there's been a severe lack of is Welcome to the Jungle. We speculated the kickoff music before for Parkview, and
there's an opening kickoff. We got some Welcome to the Jungle.
That is true. I did forget about that. So
we got fun and games. We got everything you want. Don't even want to rain. You got to. Yeah, a little something, something.
South Gwinnett will now take the field on offense for the first time in this half. The time is out on the scoreboard right now, but I believe it should be 11:49 showing, as there was the PAT and then the touchback on the kickoff.
Oh, we're really in trouble if that thing goes out.
First play for Sheffield in the second half. Sheffield dropping back, firing that one deep down the sideline and just out of the outstretched fingertips of his intended receiver. Incomplete, and it's second down. It's
been crazy to watch. Every time South Gwinnett has actually tried to throw the ball and throw it deep, they've had guys behind defensive players from Parkview. They just haven't been able to connect.
That pass intended
that ball
for
should have been
Pierre
caught.
Ford.
I don't know about you.
Now brings up second and long, and you mentioned the new quarterback, the sophomore. They're coming out guns a-blazing, deep shot on first down. Second down and 10 now. Two receivers to the right.
They'll be running
run
the
out
ball.
Wide to the left. And right on cue, they do run the ball. That one is going to be taken to the far side, wrestled out of bounds after a gain of about 4 or 5 to bring up third down. And I believe that was the third string back on the carry. Actually, no. That was Jay-Sean Appling. So Appling brought down as it brings up third and about 6.
All right, so quarterback's first game action all season, apart from a blowout earlier in the year. I think they got Meadow Creek by about 30. Okay, so first real opportunity here on a third and long. Don't really expect them to drive this ball down the field.
And we're going to get a stoppage here as a timeout is going to be called by Parkview. That's Parkview's first timeout of the half.
Looked like there was some confusion at the bottom of your screen. The number 2 receiver is completely uncovered by Parkview, so Coach Ellerby electing to take a timeout right there, make sure everything's situated before the ball snap.
Goes back to what you talked about in the first half. You're willing to burn those timeouts if it means
35.
breaking up a big play. So a stoppage on the play here. Third and about 6 for Sheffield and company. Sheffield coming in for Nate Miller. Nate Miller injured in the first half.
Yeah, I didn't even see him come out after the half and try to throw or warm up. So I would imagine he's done for the night.
So Sheffield most likely going to take the Comets the rest of the way. And at the very least, some nice experience for the underclassmen here, getting some region action here in late September. Two teams will break their respective huddles after the timeout.
You always got to wonder how much of the playbook the backup quarterback actually has retention of and what you can and cannot call.
That's a great point right there. You have to imagine they probably scheme a lot of things for Miller, especially with his big body and his ability to run. Maybe that's why we've seen some different looks thus far, but now they go back to their standard look. 2 receivers to the right, 2 to the left here on third down. That pass is going to be hitting the chest and falling to the turf. Incomplete and 4th down.
Yeah, Ike Anude is probably going to want that play back. You got a young quarterback in there. That ball is on time. It's delivered in the exact spot it's got to be. Anude just doesn't have a chance to get his head turned around in time. That ball almost catches him, it seems, there on the sideline. Brings up 4th down.
So it'll be another 3rd down here, forced by this Panther defense, as they'll get the ball back. What we can imagine, maybe around 11 minutes remaining here in the quarter, give or take a few seconds. That clock still out on the scoreboard as the rush comes in. Punt nearly blocked. That one driven back pretty nicely. Fielded at around the 35, and flag flies as returner is going to be hit hard. My goodness. We'll see about the flag.
Yeah, they're going to get Jay Crawford on a block in the back right there.
As Bryce Colson on the return. Colson setting up the opening touchdown with the Knights return, getting it all the way to the 5-yard line. We'll see officially what the call is on the flag there, as that could set
Crawford almost got his head in front, but just didn't quite get there. That's an easy as day blocking the back call for the referee. That's going to back Parkview up another 10 or 15 yards.
And so there you have it. Block in the back, 15-yard personal foul. And it pins them a little deeper in their own territory. You have to imagine now, 34-0. It might be chew clock time already here for the Panthers. They just try and run the ball a little bit, milk the clock.
It was chew clock time about midway through the second, I felt like, for this Parkview offense. I mean, they haven't had a passing attempt in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or the first play of last possession, they had a passing attempt. But prior to that, it was 4 possessions before they had last thrown the ball.
And so they'll set up shop at the 21-yard line, 1st and 10. 17 seconds and counting on that play clock.
They score here. It's pull the units. It's get the backups in.
First play of the drive. Hawk will hand it off up the middle. Wide open hole right there. Nice piece of running to get a decent gain. I believe that was Paris on the carry.
Yep.
So first play, and it's a run for Parkview. Paris on the carry, gain of about 5. 2nd and 5.
Playing real slow right now is Parkview, as you'd expect. Showing a little bit of respect for the guy on the other sideline.
Of course, 40 seconds on that play clock, so they do have plenty of time to sort of saunter up to the line. 2nd down, it's going to be a play fake, and that one intended for Matthews. That one falling out, trying to maybe one-hand it right there, just not quite on the same page.
So the famous flash term nowadays in high school, college, and professional football is RPO, run pass option. That's all that was right there. Colin Hawk's got an automatic built-in stop route on the bottom to Mike Matthews off of that run look. If he doesn't like the numbers in the box, he can pull it and try to throw it to Matthews.
Incomplete pass brings up 3rd and 5. Hawk again. Hawk trying to buy time, throwing on the run, and nearly a catch made over the back of his defender as it falls incomplete and brings up 4th down.
Felt like he had Matthews right there on the scramble drill. Just got to throw that ball with a little bit more touch. No need to really try to force that into a back shoulder ball. I thought Matthews had leverage. He had stacked the defensive back. Just keep throwing it out there, man. Lead your receiver. Don't stop him.
We've seen the scramble drill a decent amount for Hawk when he's had to throw the ball. Some quarterbacks, they run, and when they scramble, they're scrambling to pick up yards. But watching Hawk, a lot of times when he's scrambling, he's trying to buy time, throw on the run. And as Coach Godfrey's talked about, that's that shortstop in him once again. He's very comfortable throwing from different angles and different platforms.
Yeah, scramble to run, not scramble to, or scramble to throw, not scramble to run.
That is going to be punted and taking a very kind Panther bounce once again. That one will be touched down at about the 33-yard line.
It's been the little things for South Gwinnett on special teams that has killed them in field position. Allowing that punt to hit the turf right there cost South Gwinnett about 15 yards. Get up underneath it, fair catch it, and save your offense, who has struggled to move the football, a valuable 15 yards in the middle of the field.
So the Comets will take over at the 32 after that aforementioned bounce. 34-0 your score here. South Gwinnett with a 3-and-out last time out. How do you think they try and switch things up? Of course, new quarterback, just trying to get something, anything going here.
Well, they're coming out in bunch formation, something that they haven't really done a bunch tonight. So I would imagine you get some type of speed out to the top of your screen, maybe with a run action.
Play clock just running out as they get the snap off, and that one is going to be given off right there for Billingsley. Billingsley with some space and a nice run right there to move the chains.
I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit surprised when I looked on Billingsley's huddle profile to find out that he's a 10.96 100-meter runner at 205 pounds. So for those of you at home, anything sub 11 nowadays is like, that dude can run. So that dude can run.
Billingsley had a rushing touchdown last week for South Gwinnett. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns on the season, also 2 receiving touchdowns. Fresh set of chains after the nice run. 1st and 10, handoff once again. Not much doing right there. Gain of, call it about 1.
It's a great play by Kendall Beard right there, the linebacker, just filling the hole. South Gwinnett trying to run counter. He being the edge defender, turning that play back inside and keeping that outside arm free. Great job there by Beard.
So the Beard play will bring up 2nd and about 9. Back into the shotgun for Sheffield. Dropping back to pass. Pressure coming quickly. Sheffield rolling out, and he just has to chuck it into the turf. They'll rule it an incomplete pass, so no intentional grounding there, as he might have been outside of the tackle box, but it brings up 3rd down.
I think they were actually going to say there was a receiver in the area. They are going to call grounding. That's weird. They didn't throw the flag, but they called the grounding penalty.
So, if I'm not mistaken, is that 10 yards or a spot foul in high school?
It's 10 yards and spot of the foul. Is what they're marking off right now.
So, essentially the same as a sack, as it'll set them way back.
So, they actually called a legal forward pass. I don't understand why that would be the call. It should, if anything, it should be a grounding call. I don't know how that's an illegal forward pass.
Regardless, it's 3rd and very long for the Comets. 3rd and 21 on the scoreboard. Sheffield back again. That one over the middle and incomplete. Looking for Elijah McDowell. And it's 4th and long. McDowell maybe motioning for a flag right there. Not going to get that call, as the punt team will come out once again for the Comets.
You going to take a stab at how much time's left?
I'm going to go with
9.
8 minutes and 54 seconds.
I'm going to go with 9:05. I don't know how we're going to find out who wins this little magical game of guess the time, but
I would shake your hand and put a sandwich on it, but it'll be tough to tell who is right for sure.
A little ham Sammy?
Nothing. A little sandwich bet never hurt anyone, as that punt will take another bounce. The bounce of the punts has been a theme throughout this game, as that one is touchdown at the 21-yard line.
By Tymier Burton, number 1. Probably their most highly touted prospect from South Gwinnett. I like seeing that in a 35-point, 34-point game right now, Tymier Burton's still running like his hair's on fire on special teams, trying to cover kicks and punts. That, to me, I mean, you don't see those kind of things on highlight films, but it's why in-person evaluation is so valuable for college football coaches, to be able to come out here and see guys on Thursday nights, Friday nights, see who they are, how they respond to adversity, like being down 34 points. Tymier Burton just showed me he's a football player that responds to being down, responds to adversity, and continues to play hard no matter what.
And coaches will definitely remember that.
Especially when you're 6'2 1/4, 225 pounds and look like Tymier Burton.
So 1st down and 10 now for the Panthers, as they're essentially the same as
hey,
a
look,
touchback,
Eric, they're
save a
running
yard.
counter.
And there's a counter again. That one is going to be carried by Spain.
You've seen what Parkview's done. Parkview's taken that outside linebacker and just kind of moved him out of the box just a little bit. That's been their response to South Gwinnett running counter and power at them. I haven't really seen South Gwinnett make a response or make a change defensively. Normally, you've got to provide some type of edge pressure against the counter scheme or defeat the down blocks. They've done neither tonight. That's why it keeps hitting.
It hit for about 4 yards there, as it's going to be 2nd and 6. Hawk organizing traffic here at the line of scrimmage. Low snap as he'll take it. Back to pass once again.
Matthews.
Hawk wants the deep shot. He's got Matthews downfield, and he's got him. Another long strike. That one's a Mike Matthews for his 2nd touchdown of the game, and it's 6 more for the Panthers.
It's what opponents are going to have to decide. It's the give and take of playing against Parkview. You have to commit so many hats to the box to stop the run. 63%, pound, 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 and then all of a sudden they hit you over the top with Colin Hawk and Mike Matthews. It's really, really hard, man. It's a catch-22 if you're a defensive coordinator. Do you commit the hats to the box, or do you play it safe and make them beat you by 1,000 cuts? Tonight, it's been bludgeoned to death by explosives.
Matthews with his 7th receiving touchdown on the season. That one a long one. Mentioned the explosive plays. He had a 99-yarder last week. That one almost as long. Extra point pending to make it 41-0. And it is up and good. So 41-0 in favor of Parkview.
Not
it's
great,
2 Mike
Bob.
Matthews touchdowns here to start off the second half.
Yeah, not great, man.
And as you mentioned earlier, you said if they scored again that the second unit might come out.
Second unit and the running clock. 40-point game in the second half. Opposition referee gonna have that talk with Coach Lamar on the other side. Hey, do we want a running clock or what are we doing here? I would imagine that's what we got going on now. I thought Parkview was the better football team coming into tonight, man, but I did not see this. I did not see a 41-point game midway through the third quarter with seemingly no answer or response from South Gwinnett. Obviously down their guy. I mean, Nate Miller, the starting quarterback's kind of what their offense is. It's who it revolves around and who it's centered around. Him now being out this whole second half, you don't have much of a hope, but you got to keep going. You got to keep playing football, man.
41 points on the game thus far for Parkview, averaging 35 coming into this one. They've already beat their average, and that number is going to be a little bit higher coming into next week. And keep playing they will as the kickoff is sent into the end zone for a touchback. So drive number 3 now coming up for South Gwinnett. First 2 have been punts, a 3-and-out, and then a drive that was stalled after a penalty. And Sheffield will trot out once again. You mentioned Sheffield different at quarterback. Well, it does limit some of the things they can do as far as you lose a lot of size at the quarterback position. You talk about Nate Miller, almost 6'4". Sheffield listed at 5'10". Taking a look at this roster here for South Gwinnett.
You completely remove all quarterback design run plays that you have in the playbook. Those are probably gone for as long as Nate Miller is not on the field for this South Gwinnett football team. So now you're leaning on your 2 backs, and you're hoping this young quarterback can throw the football and create some offense. I haven't thought he's looked that bad. I thought he's had some good on-time throws, just hadn't gotten much help yet.
They'll snap it and give it off. First play, and there's a big lane in the running game for the Comets. So back-to-back drives starting off with a long run here in the second half.
That's Jayshon Appling right there, capturing the edge and picking up about 15 yards before Mike Matthews escorts him out of bounds.
Matthews plays both ways, of course. He's listed as an athlete on some websites, but wide receiver, safety, he can do it all.
I think he's going to play receiver in college, if you ask me.
And we've seen why with 2 great touchdown grabs in this one. Nearly a third one, but he was out of bounds. Second play of the drive, and it's going to be a handoff again. That one taken up the middle and burrowing his way forward.
And just his skill sets in general, Eric, if you watch Mike Matthews play, you're always going to be, you're going to leave the game being far more impressed with the production on the ball, whether it be as a safety intercepting the ball or knocking passes down. His ability to find and impact the football is his best attribute, and the best way to utilize that attribute is on the offensive side of the football.
He reminds me a little bit of KJ Bolden. He's another 2-way player that plays wide receiver and defensive back. We saw him a few weeks ago in Buford.
Whereas I think KJ is the best safety in the 2024 class because of the way he can track the football. I love watching that guy play center field safety.
It'll be 2nd down and 8 for the Comets Sheffield back to pass, firing that one down the sideline. He's got a man.
Hey, this kid
And
can
it's going to
swing
be
it
caught.
now.
My goodness, what a throw and catch.
He's really,
man.
he's really calm and patient too. If you watch him in his drop, Eric, he's almost lackadaisical, man. He almost just looks like he's kind of just hanging out, just playing a little backyard football.
That was one heck of a throw from the sophomore, and it's going to put him in business as they approach the red zone.
Playing with house money, Mr. Sheffield. Go out there, man. Sling that pill.
They have seemed to open up the passing game a little bit more here in the second half, straying away a little bit more from that Pittsburgh Steeler offense you were talking about in the first.
Run, pass.
As Appling will carry for a gain of about 4.
I shouldn't make fun of that offense. I mean, the Steelers won a Super Bowl doing that with Ben Roethlisberger in his rookie year.
They've won a whole lot of them doing that. If you go all the way back, you said your dad talked about it, so his Steelers might have been the ones that won 4 of them. Second down and about 6.
False start on the right tackle.
And they are going to blow the play dead.
He almost got away with it. And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for you, line judge.
So that'll set him back 5 yards and bring up 2nd and 11.
You know, in 42 career starts, never had once had a false start in college.
There you go. That is a fun fact.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because I played center.
We did see last week for
Snap
those that...
infraction? Yeah, never had one of those. Never could I ever have a snap infraction.
We did see last week in the South Gwinnett Norcross game, there was a false start, the classic false start on everyone except
but
the center.
Yeah. Jet sweep.
As that one will be taken into the red zone. Nice run on the jet sweep on 2nd down.
You know, Eric, their offensive motion system has been predicated off of the jet sweep, but I think midway through the third quarter, that's the first time they've actually handed the jet off. Kind of defeats the purpose of running jet motion on every play, essentially. We're never going to hand it off. We're not really drawing defensive eyes.
We have seen that look a few times in the first half. Guy that they like to use in that, Anthony Carter. Now they're looking at 3rd and about 2. Low snap as more whistles come in and more movement. And it's another false start.
This is an easy explanation as well, okay? If I say downset hut and you say downset hut, we're going to have a different tone and inflection on how we go about saying those things, right? So when you have a young quarterback in there and his snap count and his, the way he inflects his voice might sound completely different than the previous guy. So he might snap it a second earlier or a second later than the previous guy, which is why during offensive meetings on Monday, hey, we start with cadence work. Downset hut, everybody claps. Downset hut, everybody claps, right? You go through all your quarterbacks so everybody can time it up.
3rd down as that pass is going to be caught in the flat. Nice move right there to make a man miss. That's Pierre Ford, who works his way towards a 1st down, and whoop is right. My goodness.
And I think they're going to get a half the distance to the goal added on late, as I think we're going to get a face mask penalty against Parkview as well. So you're going to get half the distance to the goal, automatic 1st down here for a South Gwinnett offense that is not laying down. I mean, they are playing some football right now. Most successful drive of the night, bar none.
Absolutely. They did get into this territory once earlier, but that was on a big passing play, and then a penalty ended up pushing them back and getting 0 points out of it. But it's been a consistent attack on this drive, mixing it up. They've got a few runs, a few passes in there. In the red zone, 1st down and goal to go for the first time tonight for the Comets.
Hey, Eric, I got $5 says it's a run play.
I would like to keep my $5, so I will not shake your hand there. We'll see exactly what it is, and I would have been $5 poorer if I shook your hand, as that one's into the end zone for a touchdown, and the Comets get their 4th score of the night. That's Jaquan Billingsley. So Billingsley with back-to-back games with rushing touchdowns. Now his 3rd rushing touchdown on the season, and it puts the score at 41-6. And a nice way to cap off that drive for the Comets. Nice piece of work by the offense. Extra point to come. That one a low kick, but it's up and good. It all counts the same as it puts it at 41-7. So a nice drive right there. 7-play drive for South Gwinnett, and they cap it off with a Billingsley rushing touchdown. And they've got their first points on the night. It's got to be nice to see that goose egg now off the scoreboard if you're South Gwinnett.
Absolutely, right? Young quarterback doing a good job, putting at least together somewhat of a possession. Had the one big throw right there on that drive. Certainly could have used such a thing early on in the football game, right? We told you from jump, Parkview was going to come out here tonight and play man coverage and dare you to throw the football. And every time you've dropped back to throw it for South Gwinnett tonight, there's been a guy that has a chance to make a play. That was the first time tonight as an offense that they've put it together. They've been able to execute when they had their opportunity.
So now Parkview will get the ball back. Be curious to see what unit comes out for the Panthers here. 41-7 your score, as you have to imagine we're probably a little over halfway through the third quarter.
I'd be taking Colin Hawk's helmet. That's what I'd be doing. Thank you for your service. We'll T's and P's. We'll see you next week. 2 weeks, sorry.
They do have that extra week of rest. That one is going to be a short kick bouncing. And that one bobbled around a little bit, able to be recovered.
This
and now
might be dangerous.
reversing field and taking it up the sideline. There's some space on the return. Up near the 45-yard line.
Yeah, sometimes, Eric, when the kick returner fumbles the ball or mishandles it like Zach Hill did right there, sometimes the kick unit can get out of their lanes, right? They all converge on what they think is a fumble, what they think is a loose ball. And then all of a sudden when the loose ball's picked up, you guys have completely voided your lanes that we've taught you and told you to stay in. Now suddenly there's a gaping hole down the sideline. Zach Hill doing a great job right there, making chicken salad out of, well, not chicken salad.
That'll spot it officially at the 44. Another big return in the return game for the Panthers. And it looks like indeed they have taken Hawk's helmet.
I was watching Makai Moore, the sophomore backup quarterback in pregame. I thought the ball jumped pretty well. I don't think we're going to be able to see him throw it too much tonight. I think they're running wide zone to the bottom of the screen right now.
So both these teams with their backup quarterbacks in now, as Moore will give it off on the first play, and there's that man again, Zach Hill.
You want to know how I did it?
How he did it.
Running back alignment. Running back alignment will tell you everything on some of these high school offenses, man. Obviously, they're up 41-7. They're not about to throw the football, right? It's a little disrespectful. So if you see the H-back to the left, the running back to the right in front of the quarterback, wide zone to the left, dead tendency.
Big run by Hill after the big return, and it sets up a fresh set of chains in opposing territory. And they'll give it to him again up the middle. That one not quite as big. Call it about a yard.
Yeah, it went back to the traditional counter that they've had such success with tonight. Thought the timing between the left tackle and the H-back was just a little bit funky. You want to let that tackle lead the way, right? He's the kick guy. That H-back's the wrapper. You want to let that kick guy lead.
Second down at about 9. And a hard count,
Got
some
him.
movement, and a flag.
That indicates to me, Eric, that Parkview's offensive coordinator is still running the same identity and kind of offensive mindset and kind of who they are right now, right? Still a check with me offense, despite the fact that they're up 34 some odd points right now in this football game. So still doing what it is that they do. They're a hard count football team that checks with the sideline after each individual hard count to find out what coach likes. Probably back to the counter here. Hard count again as they get another free 5 yards. It's been all night for this South Gwinnett football team. Just a tough go at it for these guys. As you saw, Zion Dunn jump off sides right there. Get called for the encroachment penalty. Parkview will pick up another free 5 and the first down.
So a fresh set of chains there after the penalty. First down and 10 now, about to the 26-yard line. And
I think we have
something
ourselves
going on.
a fight in the stands.
Bit of commotion going on.
We got a kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle in the stands and football on the turf as they'll reset 1st and 10. Handoff again. Another run, and there's Hill making people miss. Working his way up into the red zone to the 18-yard line.
I think even the sideline's a little bit more interested in what's going on right here in the stands than they are with what's going on in the football field. But hey, can't blame them. I'm about that action myself.
Looks like things getting sorted out there. Something in the student section. It's very packed in at the student section. Great turnout tonight from the Panthers students as they'll hand it off to Hill again. Hill making the first man miss and falling forward. That's going to be enough for a first down.
He's been pretty electric with the ball in his hands tonight, whether it be as a returner or as a wide receiver. He's done a great job, as I think that's the end of the third quarter. That is the end of the third quarter as we're going to enter the fourth here at Parkview High School. And we still got some action going on in these stands right here, man.
All right, so the end of the third quarter, now on to the fourth. We're going to take it down to the sideline here with Kalen. Kalen, what have you got for us?
Hello, we just ended the third quarter with a score of 41-7. Mike Matthews kicked off the third quarter with a big reception for a touchdown. It was the first reception for a touchdown of the game. He repeated that again later on in the quarter, but it's not looking great for South Gwinnett, but we have one more quarter left to go.
All right, thanks as always for that. Kalen back up here in the booth now, about ready to start the fourth quarter. And as they announced over the PA address system, fourth quarter going to be played with a running clock, just as you foresaw.
Yeah, get us home a little early.
9:34, your local timeout here in Gwinnett County, Georgia. Eric Teoxson alongside Brooks Austin, and we'd like to thank you for tuning in today to some Thursday night lights. Of course, as we talked about in pregame, the game being moved up a day earlier in preparation for some hurricane weather, as the first play of the fourth quarter, not much going to be doing there, as it's going to put it behind the line. Fumble on the play as it puts it to the 20-yard line. So it brings up second down and called about 14. Parkview in a familiar territory here, knocking on the door. Now looks like some issues with the play clock as well. It's been flashing 8 for a while. Still no game clock up on the scoreboard. But we do know a running clock. Second and 14 snap. And that one, another handoff. That is Paris on the carry as he's taken down at the 20-yard line. Minimal gain there, and it brings up third and long. Third and long, that clock continuing to wind. You have to imagine that you won't take too many risks here on a third and long. They are in field goal range, you'd have to imagine, but points not necessarily of the essence right now if you're Parkview. Referees are sorting a few things out. Once again, it's Makai Moore in the game, the backup quarterback coming in for Colin Hawk. Both the backup quarterbacks in. Low snap, Moore hands it off again. That one going to be a decent run on third and long. Make it either an easier field goal try or fourth and a little bit more manageable. We'll see what Coach Godfrey goes with right here.
I don't know, but they got plenty of options at the running back position. I've liked every single one of these backs that's come in tonight, whether it be Kyer Spain, who we already know is over 1,000 yards on the season, whether it be Donovan Paris. And I think Zach Hill's done a tremendous job in mop-up duty here tonight as the third back as well.
Hill came into the game third on the team in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He had 98 yards and 2 touchdowns, but been great as a running back and pretty good in the return game too. He's a versatile weapon and still only a junior. A lot of juniors on this Panther offense. In fact, Colin Hawk, the only notable senior, him and Donovan Paris, the two seniors, but a lot of juniors, so a lot of faces going to be coming back next year as well for Parkview.
Yeah, really young football team.
So they will go with the field goal try as the snap gets in and out of the hands. Scramble for the football. Ball still bouncing around. As
I think they blew the play dead prior to the snap anyway, so we're going to get a re-kick at this.
And it is a pre-snap penalty, so there will be most likely a re-kick.
So the delay of game actually helps them out right there.
You have to imagine they would trade the 5 yards for another shot at the field goal. And so they'll reset. Kicking from the 19-yard line. And that one also bouncing around a little bit. Loose ball right there. And falling on it, it looks like it was Parkview. It's not going to matter, as South Gwinnett is going to take over possession regardless, and they'll take it over at about the 25. And a few horns coming in from the bleachers as well, but a little bit of everything that we've seen in this game. So out comes the opposing backup quarterback as Noah Sheffield will trot out. And for South Gwinnett, pretty good drive that they're coming off of. They got their first points of the game, and Sheffield looking pretty good. He had a nice throw.
I mean, that was our halftime analysis, right? Put something together for South Gwinnett as an offense that you feel comfortable about going into next week, right? I mean, region play just begun. We opened the broadcast telling you that. I mean, it's a long season ahead of both these football teams, and depending upon what that injury looks like to their starter in Nate Miller, I mean, you don't know how long you're going to have to play with Sheffield, so you better figure out what you got.
First down and 10. Sheffield taking the low snap, and he'll hand it off. There's Billingsley. Billingsley with a lot of space, and stiff arming a man, staying on his feet and being taken down at about the 39. Good opening run there for Billingsley on first down.
They found success with that wide zone on first down the last 3 possessions. They go right back to it right there.
Fresh set of downs here as they mark it actually at about the 38.
Come on, Coach. Take your shot, man. Down 34. Let's do it. Let's find out who you guys are as a new offense right now.
Sheffield will give it off again. Up the middle, and another nice run on first down. This Comet running game starting to get in business. And there's Billingsley again. So back-to-back runs, back-to-back first downs. And now they're knocking on the door of midfield. Ball spotted at the 49. They'll send a man in motion. Another low snap. Able to be picked up by Sheffield. Sheffield dancing around, and he's going to be taken down in the backfield. Chalk that up as a loss of about 4 or 5. So a couple of low snaps here. Maybe just adjusting to a new quarterback. Do you think that's a factor for the center, snapping the ball to a new quarterback?
I mean, not really, especially not in shotgun. Under center, maybe the guy has a little bit more pressure on that crack than the previous guy. But nah, shotgun snap should be a shotgun snap. The difference might be whether or not I got a nose tackle on me or a shade on me.
Oh, man, that play eaten up quickly. Billingsley staying on his feet. The whistle comes in. Billingsley is going to take it all the way, but it looks like they might blow that play dead. He was swallowed up in a hurry, somehow able to escape it. But there it looks like
Nolan Marshall's done that twice tonight, where he's clearly the read defender. He's being left unblocked, and they're making the decision to pull or keep based off of what he does. And what he's done is just blow up the mesh. He's just like, screw it. I'm just going to run as fast as I can. At both of these defenders are offensive guys, and one of them is going to have the ball by the time I tackle him.
Nolan Marshall, second on the team in total tackles with 38, and first with tackles for loss. He had 8 coming into the game. And chalked that up as number 9.
Really his first season of being able to put film on tape and plays on tape. So college scouts really getting their first look at a guy in Noah Marshall who is just a high-effort, high-motor, high-quality football player at about 6'2", 210 pounds.
So after the Marshall tackle for loss, it'll bring up 3rd and 19. And
Guys
they're crowding
like
the
Noah
box.
Marshall are the exact reason why Kennesaw State's a dominant football program.
That pass is going to be caught out in the flat. Not much right there. It's
'Cause
Carter on the reception.
Promise you right now, Brian Bohannon knows exactly who Nolan Marshall is, knows exactly how he's playing so far to start the season, and knows exactly when to show up and give him his first Division I offer if that ends up what happens.
That's going to bring up 4th down and about 16. You mentioned Kennesaw State being a great football program. I believe FCS, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So as a North Dakota State guy myself, I do know at least a decent amount, more than you might expect, about Kennesaw State football. And they do have a great program over there. Become a regular in the playoffs as that punt bounces around. It's going to be fielded and nearly slipping out of the hands again, but taken up near the 30-yard line, down at about the 27.
It was a interesting decision from the sophomore Sean Ferguson. I would imagine his coach gives him a bit of a talking to right here on the sideline about his ball security right there, a little bit questionable.
So fresh set of chains now as we'll turn it back over to this Panther offense. Makai Moore will come back out. We saw a lot of Zach Hill on the previous drive. I have to imagine they'll be feeding him the ball more. It's just been run, run, run.
You also have to imagine there can't be but about 4 or 5 minutes left of the running clock that's left on the clock. Obviously, the clock went down here inside the stadium about midway through the 3rd, I would imagine. And we've been clockless up on the big board for a while. So no real telling when this game's going to end. But you guys are stuck here with us. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button.
Lost in the jungle as the first snap of the drive is going to be a run play. And a gain of maybe 1.
So we saw a fight in the stands tonight. We saw about 3 or 4, one-play possessions that went for tutties. I mean, we've seen some action-packed football tonight.
If you're playing football bingo at home, you might be pretty close to a blackout. 2nd down and 9. Now we have a stoppage. Referees signaling something over.
If you're still watching us, it's probably because you're Cooper Frank's mom or dad, and he just entered the game. So shouts out to you.
It'll be another handoff up the middle. Similar look right there for Parkview as they get closer to the first down marker. They'll set up 3rd down and about 2 or 3.
I got to wonder, Eric, who's happier about blowouts like this? The starters who get to stand on the sideline and not play, or the guys who don't ever get to play that actually get to play? I've been on both sides of this equation. I'll be honest with you. Being a starter, knowing you don't have to play during a blowout is an epic feeling.
3rd down and another run. And that should move the chains, and it will. Nice piece of running as it'll be brought down at about the 42-yard line. 3 plays, 3 runs, and a new set of chains. And as you mentioned, more new faces coming in here for the Panthers.
Yeah, we're testing that depth chart knowledge right now, Eric.
Absolutely.
I see it's you scoundering through that roster right now.
I will admit I did not prepare for the 3rd stringers, but maybe lesson learned for next time, as that'll be a run by Davin Rouse. Gain of about 3. And for the fans that are still here for Parkview and the band, they're getting into it. Nice little atmosphere here. Of course, running clock continuing to run. As we imagine, probably over halfway done here with the 4th.
Yeah.
Some sideline action too for Parkview. One of the players waving a Panther flag back and forth. 5th straight run of the drive. Gain of about 2.
Glad to see you're still charting him, man. Way to be a professional till the end.
Hey, just like those players, even when the game is quote-unquote over, you got to get that practice in.
You're fighting a good fight. I see you. I've mailed it in. I'm going to be honest with you.
Right now, I compare myself to a quarterback who's been thrust into action after an injury and trying to make the most of my shot. That next man up mentality. Mentality that a lot of these players down on the field probably have right now too, trying to earn their spot, get some more playing time, make the most of that experience. Now it's my turn. Oftentimes you wager the play here, but actually hold off as the running back was positioned differently, but I should have stuck with my guns as it is a run, and it's going to be a fruitful one. Up to about the 41, and it picks up the first down, and shocker, another run play. That's six straight.
I think they're averaging 11 yards a carry tonight, but a walking first down.
It was Rouse again on the carry, back-to-back totes for him, and now they're in Comet territory. And some more movement. Looks like a few D-line players jumping. Might have gotten back in time. No flags flying. Both teams will reset. 1st and 10, handoff. Rouse again. Rouse, another big run. And you get the feeling that they might just close the game out with him. Can tell that it's getting later in the year too, because it is pitch black out now. Those lights doing their job. It's been dark out for a while. Those lights have been on, and looks like that is going to be it. So your final score here from the big orange jungle, it's 41-7. Parkview taking home the victory in their home opener in style. Parkview over South Gwinnett. Parkview will move to 5-1 on the season. South Gwinnett drops to 4-2. The Panthers with a nice bounce-back win after their first loss of the season last week, and opening up region play with a bang, 41-7. What stood out for you, Brooks?
I just think the domination for Parkview's running game. I also think there's just not much of an adjustment from the opposition. I felt like it was counter all night long for Parkview. Obviously a great job of executing what your game plan was. Defensively, they lined up all night tonight, got in the face of South Gwinnett, played man defense, and attacked that rushing attack and made South Gwinnett become one-dimensional. Ultimately, that run, pass, punt strategy for South Gwinnett only yielded 7 points. One successful drive all night for the South Gwinnett Comets, and it was just a struggle. I mean, it was an absolute struggle offensively, and then once Nate Miller, the starting quarterback, goes down, they really had to adjust, and it's just not the night for the South Gwinnett Comets expected, and honestly, not the night I expected from them. I expected them to be able to handle the line of scrimmage and maintain an ability to run the football as they've done all year, and with the inability to run the ball successfully, they constantly put themselves in long third down situations, and that's not something that they're ever going to be able to convert.
So a big-time win now. Looking forward to 2 weeks from now as region play continues. Let's take a look at what these two teams are going to be facing. First with South Gwinnett. They're going to play Grayson at home in 2 weeks. What are your thoughts on that game?
I mean, Grayson is kind of known as not necessarily the top dog in this region, but everybody knows this region kind of goes through Grayson. If you're going to win this region, you got to beat Grayson. So that's a good litmus test for the South Gwinnett football team. No time to lick their wounds.
And for Parkview, they're riding high after the victory. 2 weeks, they go on the road and they play Archer.
Yeah, Archer kind of having a down year this year, so I'm not going to say that's an easy one for Parkview, but certainly not the matchup that this one was supposed to be tonight. So a couple of easy weeks after what was a tough start to the season on a schedule for Parkview that saw some pretty good non-region opponents.
All right, so big win for Parkview. What's one player on offense and one player on defense that really stood out for you? Players of the game, if you will.
Yeah, I think we got to give it to Kyer Spain or Mike Matthews offensively for Parkview. Defensively, give it to the whole unit. I think they did a great job, and maybe give it to the defensive coordinator coming out and developing a game plan that limited this Gwinnett offense, limited their rushing attack. This is a football team, South Gwinnett, that's ran the ball effectively all year until tonight.
And for South Gwinnett. Obviously a big loss. What do you think the message in the locker room for the Comets is going to be after they break up their huddle on the field?
That's not us. I mean, you don't do too much, sulking about this loss, right? I mean, 34 points on the scoreboard. You were significantly the worst football team tonight. But there's no reason to let this type of loss affect you moving on throughout the season. Because, again, this is 2 bad losses in a row for the South Gwinnett football team. Last week against the North Cross football team that you moved the ball against, you just quite couldn't finish off drives in the red zone. And then you come out tonight and you're putting yourself in bad positions from the get-go. And Parkview kind of rolls you from the jump. So I think if you're South Gwinnett, you tell your guys, look, that's not who we are, right? We're not 34 points worse than that football team. And you try to get healthy. You had your best player in A.J. Pickford not playing this football game, not going to be with you the remainder of the year. Nate Miller, your starting quarterback, goes down in this football game as well. So it's the next 2 weeks, man. Get healthy, get back right, and then play a good Grayson football team.
And getting ready for that game, what do you think is going to be the biggest thing they're going to work on in practice based off what you saw out here tonight?
I think generally when you go to play a team like Grayson, it's just toughness, right? I mean, that's a physical football team. They're going to want to run the football as well. So just be ready for a fist fight in a Gwinnett County football game. It's like that every Friday night in this region. You're going to play good football teams with talented football.